RNG from the region that we call home for this tournament, from this Shanghai arena. We are going to hear the very halls tremble. Do they have the potential to start creating waves in the lower side of the bracket? We've already seen just how much damage that China's been able to do to this bracket, already guaranteeing their place on the final day. And now, fueled by the arena, will they be able to take down a team that's already had a disappointing road? And Trent, when we look at this team right now, with all the factors, all of the gas they have in their tank, first we need to ask what VP can do. Virtus Pro is going to be taking the stage right now in a crowd that has a lot of stock in the Chinese competition here, and you can hear the respect already coming out in the arena. This is going to be a matchup that determines who stays in TI and who goes home. And we were talking about the success that VP obviously has seen throughout the year, a fantastic team, and as Toby did break down, they're a team that has been playing with having less than optimal TI runs, but we're going to be able to take a look at VP at their home in Russia.
Тебе нравятся наши тиммейты?
Нет, скажи так. Ну ладно.
Блин, ну это очень странный вопрос.
Привет, ребята, мы в Москве, и сейчас мы покажем вам достопримечательности нашего города.
Паш, ты уверен, что ты знаешь, что делаешь?
Нет.
He has no idea where we going.
Если нам к главному входу, там туда. Это то, что я рассказываю, это не скучный сад называется. А парк Горького туда, да, пойдем туда. Я не там был, в другом месте. Вот ты всю жизнь живешь в Москве и не знаешь, куда идти, да?
Паша is very bad guy.
Роджер, либо он делает игру очень легкой, либо он делает ее очень сложной.
Парни, ну, гонка началась!
Да что ж ты нас не предупредил, идиот?
My question to you, you can discuss between each other, how are you going to win the international?
Я думаю, на больших ивентах мы стресса не чувствуем. Единственное, пока что место, где мы можем как-то чувствовать себя в дискомфорте, это инт, потому что это все еще неподъемная для нас пока вещь, но мы пытаемся ее покорить.
The International — это особенный турнир. В принципе, я не вижу принципиальной разницы, играешь ты с Secret или с какой-то командой послабее. Ко всем командам мы будем готовиться на 100%.
Все хорошо, все хорошо. Я вообще не боюсь.
Инстаграм качаешься?
Волосы запечатлеть.
Блядь! Хватит паниковать, пожалуйста. Успокойтесь.
Last two TIs, VP placed 5th and 6th position. Why do you choke at TI?
Классический вопрос, почему мы всех ебем весь год. Я надеюсь, не попадет на камеру. Да, интересно.
Особенно, когда ты провел очень успешный сезон, от тебя ждут действительно топовых результатов, что ты хотя бы в тройку войдешь сильнейших, и это давит.
По-другому, наверное, то, что у нас, нам уже нечего терять на самом-то деле, и мы будем к этому моменту подготавливаться и, в принципе, идти с какой-то легкостью.
Сложно сказать почему, но все играют на максимум, а у нас почему-то максимум не выдается. Надеюсь, что-то поменяется.
Как ты там говорил? Ведь доктор на английском. Feeling good, man.
And you could hear it from them. They don't feel any pressure when they're at some of the biggest tournaments of the year, but the second they get to TI, there is a noted difference. And I think that we've seen that throughout the year. We see them even fall behind sometimes early on in a tournament. They're able to wash that, get forward, and then start winning the games that they need to. And Sin, what is the pressure really like when you get to a stage like this at TI?
I think it really depends how much pressure you put on yourself. And for VP, it seems to be something that they are struggling with that other teams aren't to the same extent. In some ways, maybe you could draw parallels to Secret, who have had great years multiple times going into TI and don't do so well at TI. And maybe it's that pressure of the expectations. You've won majors, you've done great, you're expecting, both for yourself, but also the fans are expecting you're going to go far here. And if you put too much pressure on yourself in the booth, you start overthinking it, a couple of moves, you second guess yourself. The other teams that are just there playing their best Dota and don't think too much about it, they can beat you in an unfavorable matchup.
I think it's a mental block too, right? The wordage that, or the verbiage that we basically saw in the interview was the idea of it's like, we haven't reached that height yet. It's almost like you basically don't know that it's possible because you haven't achieved it before. So that pressure really does come internally rather than from, you know, all the lights, all of the fans here. So Trent, what do you think is going to happen in this particular series when they're going up against a team like RNG that does have that home field advantage as the added fire?
Yeah, I think as much as they've kind of struggled, I still think they're almost underrated at this point, right? Everyone's just assuming they're going to choke. Everyone's assuming they're going to run into this problem. And RNG is a team who should have that ease, you would think, who shouldn't be feeling all this pressure, but because they're one of these underdog teams, right? That's where that story tends to come from. But they're in Shanghai, so it's kind of a reverse thing where there's this added pressure that typically a team of this caliber might not have.
But that's the 4D chess from VP this year. This year, they're pretending
Just
to
pretending.
be bad. They're pretending to be bad.
Right.
Okay. I've done that before. Yeah, I totally understand that. Now, you, before we even started, you said, Rich, I think VP draft is going to be one of the most important things in the series.
It's not just the way they draft, it's who's actually doing the draft for them. Like, before it was always Solo leading them. How many times did he win, like, MVPs and ESL ones just by, well, just drafting them a far superior lineup that the team could just be really comfortable and flexible with. And now you've got Ramsey's doing the pick, Solo's actually sitting at the back, with a headset, and there's Ezekiel who's actually sitting in the seat that's taken from Solo. So it really feels like you don't have that same kind of synergy that's happened throughout the year where the guys have just been chilling, laughing, joking inside the box. It's like, what are we going to pick this time around? This seems like really good. I think long are the days gone when you could just turn up to a BTS tournament, pick every single hero, and then still win.
Yep.
I think there's also something else maybe about TI that VP are a bit unfortunate with, if you will, is the meta changes going in. I feel like when we come to TI, teams start playing a little bit safer, but also the patches leading into it sometimes slow the game down a little bit.
Yeah.
And VP have been really good at playing aggressively. So if you're the way the Dota year works is that whatever is considered the strongest style has a tendency of getting nerfed. So if VP are winning tournaments early in the year by playing super aggressive, well, their aggressive heroes get weaker and slower heroes get stronger. And when you come to TI, some of your best strategies are just not as good as they used to be.
Yeah, we need to have that all in our mind right now. We've talked about it plenty, but we're ready to jump into the first elimination match of the day. Let's see who will stay in TI.
Versus Game 1.
Thank you, Rich. We're here now, though, to talk a bit more about the picks, the teams, what we have in store for us. Virtus Pro up against RNG, elimination at stake, going with Gunner Purge. We had a TI winner on the draft panel, but now a title he can't claim. I've got an NADCL champion, a Nexon champion. You guys have some championships of your own.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I won something 5 years ago. I'm going to keep bringing it up, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for. What do you make? What are your first impressions, Purge, with these two teams going head-to-head?
Well, VP obviously underperformed in the group stage a little bit. They barely made winner bracket. Then they got knocked to lower bracket. So I would say I think they still look good, but they don't look like their top form. So I think that's probably better than what RNG is dealing with, in my opinion. So
do you think there's any momentum, though, that RNG coming out of that BO1 win?
I think it could help. I think RNG is a team that has really good highs as well. I just think that their average play is definitely below VP's. So if the average for both these guys shows up, I think VP has the advantage, but you never really know what's going to happen.
Already, a lot of picks coming out very quickly. Gunner, we're seeing crazy team fight from VP. Tied Enigma first two.
So VP over the whole season, I think, especially at the Dream League major, they would pick a bunch of team fight. They would pick like Tidehunter, Enigma, and they would put the Tidehunter as support, and then Enigma as a support, and then they pick another team fight. So they do tend to go for some early game aggression, but they also like going just, 3-4 team fight heroes, which is, like we talked earlier, that's like one of the better things of this tournament. You get a bunch of team fight, you hold your high ground, and it's kind of secure.
Do you think that's been one of VP's better looks since they did have that kind of struggling group stage?
Yeah, I think when they kind of draft some more team fight and they can play the map better, I think it looks better for them.
Okay. As for Royal Never Go Up, we have first two Alchemists. This is a carry that came in very popular early stages of the group stages. Kind of has fallen off a bit. We're still seeing it here, Purge.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good pick in this case because if VP does end up putting either Enigma or Tide as a 4, it's going to make it a little bit harder for them to pressure the enemy side of the map. They normally sit back, continuously farm while kind of defending towers, but they're not going to be able to get on the opposite side of the map and kill the Alchemist and prevent them from catching up or gaining more gold than anybody else on VP can gain. So I think it's a decent opening. One advantage that VP does have though is that Tidehunter's excellent at stopping like disruption and save abilities because Ravage is such a big AoE that it's almost impossible to either have a BKB on Shadow Demon or for him to disrupt the guy that gets gone on first. So I think that's okay for Royal Never Give Up, and outside of that, SD is just going to be good at all stages.
Do you think it's important they get some kind of Enigma Black Hole cancel, or is just having the save alone from disruption going to be enough?
A lot of teams, what they do is they pick, if they don't really care about it, they'll pick kind of a soft counter, which is like a Rubik. These heroes that is like a Wyvern kind of thing, it's like, it's okay, and they don't really think about a hard counter. I know Keen used to, they would never care about Enigma. This was like 4 or 5 months ago when Enigma was the first pick every game hero. They would pick maybe a Rubik and a Wyvern, and then they call it a day. So I don't think it's necessary that they pick a hard counter to Enigma. They just kind of, think about some 1 or 2 maybe heroes.
Yeah, it feels like a hero that is more dependent on how your team plays grouping-wise against it. Like if you let them give you big black holes, then maybe you need to counter. But a lot of times now it just feels like a hero that's mostly sitting on the backline, kind of waiting to get like an important 3-second channel on a carry pre-BKB or something. So I think it's more going to come down to does Royal Never Give Up not make mistakes? Do they not group up heavily? And ideally, does SD not get caught as well?
So the interesting thing about this Alk and Enigma is they have the same kind of like thought process in the draft. They're both good when the enemy 4 cannot walk into your jungle. So Enigma, so they pick him and they're like, okay, if this is a 4 Enigma, we don't want the enemy supports to walk at our Enigma, so he's a good game. But because of that, that means the Alk is also going to not have a 4 walking into his jungle. So the Alk is kind of playing off this Enigma, giving himself a free early game.
Are you more inclined to run the Enigma as a free position then, so that your 4 can be more active?
You can, or this Tidehunter, this Ogre even, can maybe just walk at the jungle.
Yeah.
He can't be like pressured. The acid spray doesn't do much. So
this is the first time VP's picked Ogre, I believe, at TI so far. It's a hero they haven't touched despite it being a very strong hero. So I'm kind of curious, do you guys have any idea why they might be thinking it's worth it now? Just a lane stabilizer, can bully the Alk, that kind of a thing maybe?
And if they're running one of Enigma or Tide as support, I feel like they need a 5 position that's kind of selfless. And in the past, Solo played a lot of Ogre.
Yeah.
That was always one of his heroes. So to me, it's just kind of a non-greedy 5 position. I don't think we're going to see a Midas if it's Solo playing it, but maybe he's the hero that runs in the jungle. Solo likes to go on those kind of deep warding missions.
they might be thinking of picking a ranged hero. I don't know which ranged hero would be really good right now as their carry, but usually when you pick these ranged squishy heroes, you want kind of a tanky, beefy 5 to lane with you, so that they kind of are like a body block between the enemy support and your carry, that they have to walk through your meat shield. But the carry is the meat shield.
It's going to be, Lifestealer as the front liner. One of the more popular carries of this tournament, something Ramsey's well known for playing. And as far as the matchup against Alchemist, is this like the right kind of carry you want to be having when you're up against Al?
Yeah, it's fairly good up until a point. I think I would like around level 18 to 20, 24 on the Alk. It's fairly good for him. He's really tanky. The Lifestealer actually can't kill him, but I think once the Lifestealer gets the 5-6 slot that we've seen where he has this heart and he has this AC and this Abyssal Blade and he's just this beast on the map, that's when each hit on the Alchemist is healing Lifestealer for a quarter of his health.
Oh, there's another save on RNG here with Abaddon picked up. I think they've run it in a variety of positions. Classically, Lana playing it as a 4 maybe or a 5, but yeah, it'll be great as help keep the Alchemist alive. You can disrupt him, you can also dispel the Spirit Vessel, so it should give them good capabilities to cover either the Lesh or the Alp.
And it feels so good against like the big team fight of Tide Enigma. It's a hero that maybe doesn't care if he gets Black Hold if he's in the front line.
I'm more inclined that they're going to put the Abaddon on a 3. If this Abaddon ever gets an Ags and he pops ult during Black Hole and Ravage, no one's going to die.
Yeah, we've seen a few of the teams from the Chinese team run that 3-position Abaddon at this tournament.
I also think they can tri-lane this out because they want to give him a good early game with the Shadow Demon Lesh support duo. and they just get disruption into stun with an acid spray, and then they can maybe get a kill.
Don't think they're inspired by Sumail to bring back the mid Leshrac after that earlier series. Mid Lesh is looking really strong right now.
It's looking strong, but at the same time, there's a lot of these heroes that are going to jump the Lesh, and his save is not enough, I think.
Okay. What would you say World Never Give Up's lacking with their draft now that they're going to their last pick?
An early game, like, physical damage hero that they can group up around 4. I think maybe Death Prophet could be a good hero for them right now. It kind of gives them this... They have enough save for a Death Prophet, I think, where he can get this Yule's BKB Ags, and he'll just kind of frontline with the Abaddon and the Lesh. They have a lot of tower push together. It's also really good against Snakes throughout almost every stage of the game.
They do their last penny. I do like having the idea of heroes that can punish some of these long cooldowns. Enigma Tide, something I always talk about is, you know, their ultimates, you're spending 2 minutes of downtime after you maybe won a team fight, you respawn 30, 40, 50 seconds later, and you can punish the fact those spells are down.
I like that RNG fit the Lesh into the lineup, not just because it's nice to have 2 cores that are frontliners, but also because it gives them a way to take tower, take towers while Alchemist is busy somewhere else. Whereas on the VP side, it's pretty common for Enigma to get a Vlad's or a Helm of the Dominator do the same thing. The Shadow Shaman also going to further that too, with ward drops.
Yeah, so it's going to be a mid Lesh and a 4 Shadow Shaman. I think this is now not going to incline a defensive triline at the start of the game. I think they're most likely going to put the Shadow Shaman with the Abba, try to give him a few levels, and I think once Abaddon's level 3 probably, they can abandon him. The Lifesteer can't harass him with the open wounds, he's always going to be able to shield it off, and then the supports are going to be able to triline this Alchemist.
Yeah, this is a lot of tower push coming out from World Never Give Up with the Lesh and the Shaman. So the ability to pressure even while the Alchemist farm is definitely there. Something that VP have to be careful they're not too greedy around some of their heroes now.
I think they need to pick a low cooldown, like kind of flashy hero for their mid laner for Virtus Pro. I think maybe Invoker could be okay. It's a little greedy, but I think he can go the Kloss Wex build, is really good this game. He gets an Urn, it's really good against the Alchemist as well. It lanes well against the Leshrac, so I think Invoker is probably one of the top picks for Virtus Pro.
I think one downside to their lineup, though, if they go Invoker, is that their long duration stuns are kind of weak. They have like Fire Blast, they have Ravage, they have Black Hole, but outside that, that's pretty much what they're limited to. So it might make it really difficult to get pickoffs, even just small ones.
So do you think maybe something like a Dragon Knight for a little more stun, kind of frontlining your towers?
The Dragon Knight could be potentially good. I kind of like the idea. Yeah, sounds okay.
It's also this, you know, Blink Buyer, so your Enigma and your Tide Hunter have like an easier way of following you up. The DK can do the actual initiation, and then the other 2 can just counter initiate.
That helps so much too. I see a lot of teams successful with Tide in that way. The initiator jumps in, stuns the guy, Tide blinks right on top of him to guarantee the stun the outsider guys. It guarantees those easy kills. And they grab a Storm Spirit. It's a VP hero.
Storm Spirit last pick for Virtus Pro, and no one classic. And it's a man who knows VP and the CIS region very well. We're going to hear his final thoughts on the draft before we hop ourselves into it. Here's Dendy.
Hello, everybody. So what we see here is Royal Never Give Up. We have an insane pressure lineup with Rasta Leshrac. We're going to create a snowball thing, move around together, and then we also have a timing hero like Alchemist. He's going to get his fast radiance at Dagger and then go in, and we're going to see a lot of crazy action right there. What about VP? We're like bears, we need to farm some honey. After we farm some honey, and we have Enigma for late game, so if we deal the game to BKB Enigma, Royal Never Give Up have almost nothing to counter it. They have no cancels. So we're gonna see bears farming some honey to fight, and Royal Never Give Up like a honey badgers move in. So it's gonna be crazy fight. Giving it to handsome casters, Blitz and Cap.
That's right, we've got our handsome casters here, and it's Honey Badgers versus Bears. And honestly, Denny's just amazing. That was a really apt analogy to what we're going to be seeing here in this game, right, Blitz?
Yes, he did it in a way that even you could understand.
That's true. I was sitting here as a play-by-play caster going, I don't know what's going on, but now I know. Honey Badgers versus Bears. Surely in nature, Bears win out, right?
Yeah, I'm sure Toby's like writing notes in the bench. He's like, that makes sense. As we're going to get into a game, it feels like for whatever reason, everyone picks Storm around me.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again.
You know, it's just your good luck charm. What can you say?
It's not, because I think he's going to lose this game later.
Ooh, really? So you're siding with the Honey Badgers here. Is that simply because they have an Alchemist?
I just think it's kind of going to be a little bit rough.
Why? Why is it going to be rough? Is this not the free Storm game? They don't have a ton of stuns, right? They've got one instant disable, which is the Shadow Shaman. What doesn't make it a good Storm game, Blitz?
I feel like his timing is just going to be a little bit rough. Like, I think he is going to miss his timing. Every time he zips in, he's going to have a hard time because part of what makes Storm easy and fun to play is you can burst the backline support, get in, get out, and suddenly you have a 4-on-5 fight. But I think in a game like this, it's not as easy to do that. When you go in, you're going to go into this Abaddon who you can never burst down to kill. We saw Koikfa's Storm playing against the Leshrac. It's not easy to play against that stun. Shadow Demon and Shaman. Shadow Demon is a surprisingly annoying support to play against for Storm because he has a hard reset button. If you don't go on Shadow Demon, he's going to get you every single time, or he's going to save his teammate. And then Shaman's there to sort of protect him as well. Like, they have good ways to defend around that.
Virtus Pro, they were sitting on the high ground. RNG, though, marching in force with the 4-man, trying to secure these bounty runes and maybe getting a first blood as Ramses chose to open wounds to try and get a kill, but instead, he may fall. Last shot from Lana. The second place finisher at TI1 will secure the first blood for RNG.
So I really liked how Dendi put it, though. He was saying one team is going to be very aggressive, the other team's just going to farm up. VP, they have to play around the Enigma more than any other hero. I feel like Roger needs to have a big performance. It's not really going to come down to the Storm's game. If you're no one in a game like this, you're just going to rotate around the map, try to open up the side lanes as much as you possibly can. And that's all you can really do. The game, I think, is not fully in his hands.
I don't think I've ever seen a more value, at least with the new Curse of Avernus, a more value level 1 Curse of Avernus for Flyby there. Got a lot of damage against the Tidehunter. They actually have a 1v1 matchup here while running a defensive tri-lane to try and protect the Alchemist. VP, though, trying to assert some early aggression, running the Lifestealer into the Alch. I'm sure this is all just about trying to shut down Monet's farm, right?
Yeah, if you can make it so that the Alch doesn't hit that 12 to like 13 minutes Radiance timing, I mean, most people can get it by 11. But if you can slow it down to the 20-minute mark, 18-minute mark, you're going to have a lot of room to play with.
And they can also be greedy with this Roger 4-position Enigma. Balanum, he knows what this Enigma wants to be able to do. He wants to be able to free farm the jungle. And that's why he's there, trying to sap some of that experience. Maybe take a last hit or two.
I think he's doing the right thing.
Kill some Eidolons, and Shadow Shaman's base damage is so good for this.
Yes, and Roger's going to deny it, but getting him out of the jungle and forcing him away so they can't help out this bottom lane, I think is completely the right idea. This is what's going to allow Monet to have a free lane.
Now it means the Enigma won't be able to just like pop over to that bottom lane, go for a gank with a Malefice or something like that. And Shadow Shaman, Lanham can choose to assert his dominance, right? He can either continue to follow Roger around into that other jungle, or he can go back and go for the full defensive tri-lane around Monet.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they could just go towards mid and harass out no one. Like, slowing down his game makes it so that you're protecting your side lanes anyways. And that might be what he opts to do. Just hanging around here, maybe looking for the courier, but bottom lane.
Look at all these stacks with the disruption as well. They're going to be able to get the 5th poison. And perhaps another one that's not going to be enough to kill Solo, but it will do a significant amount of damage. We're seeing the power of this 5-position Ogre. It started things off really well for Secret against EG in that game 3, just bodying the Enchantress. And here Solo's having his influence in the bottom lane as well.
Yeah, the best part about playing Ogre is just the pure amount of regen that you have in armor. This hero does not care about trading. It's like one of the few 5-position heroes that just doesn't really feel bad ever about it. And Roger, if you see, Lanham is not giving him an easy time in the jungle. He's taking the last 2 hits right there. I think he understands that Roger's the key hero, like we talked about. The Enigma Black Hole is the best spell in this game. If you know that, slow down the Enigma's game. And conversely, what that'll do is just help your Alch's game, as Monet even digs in the middle of them.
Having a little fun with it. How's our mid matchup supposed to go here? The Storm Spirit versus the Leshrac. No one doing very well for himself. Is he outplaying Setsu, or is this how the matchup goes?
I think you have to win the first wave if you're Lesh.
Okay.
That's usually how it goes. Like, you have to hit the first stun, get the range creep, harass out, and then you can win the lane pretty easily.
So the onus is on you. You have to be able to land the split burst and kind of put pressure on the Storm Spirit right away.
Yeah, because if you think about it, until level 3, your Lightning Storm isn't going to be very good.
Yeah.
Like, right now, at level 2, as a spell, 120 damage, doesn't really hurt you that much. Storm's got good enough base armor that it deals with the Leshrac right-click pretty well. So it means that you have to take advantage of going for the range creep, getting the last hits on them, and he's just not doing so right now.
An Invis Rune to be able to reset, but Afu is here. Is he going to try and grab it? Fire blasted up. Solo says, sorry, buddy, but I can't give you this refill of the bottle. I'm going to have to take it for myself. Afu turns around, slowing down the Storm Spirit, knowing that if Solo got another stun, he might have given up the second kill.
And look at this, once again, Lanem chasing out Roger. He's going to cancel the Clarity. No.
Dude, Lanem is relentless. It seems both in life as well as inside of this game. This is a man who attended the first international, was on E-Home, managed to play second, and has continued to play for this long. Very, very few times do you see a player have such a long career.
You know what this reminds me of? The way that he's playing this Shaman is sort of how a lot of teams treat Bounty versus Chen.
Yeah.
Where they just walk it around.
5-minute Bounty Runes. Roger reveals himself. Securing the Bounty Runes, but RNG with an Alchemist, they're fine with the 2-2 split any time of the day.
The thing that does scare me about Lanem's game, though, is eventually this Enigma will catch up.
Yeah.
Like, he'll hit level 3, he'll have level 2 conversions, and he'll be just fine. Whereas Lanem, I mean, he's in a different position entirely, as they do spot him jungling, but they want to try to make the rotation on the Storm mid before he hits level 6. They'd like to lead with Afu if possible, so he's going to go all the way around to get the complete sandwich.
This is about that time that no one would usually rotate into the jungle to finish off his level 6, right?
Yeah, they're trying to anticipate that right now, and that's exactly what he's going to go for, but he's going to walk in,
They get there in time. Setsu and Lanem, they're going to be able to get the Ether Shock as well as the Split Earth held until after the Shackles. They'll be able to get that kill. Trading out Lanem is no big deal for RNG. Getting the very, very big kill and shutting down no one and keeping him at that crucial level 5 is what the goal was.
That was really well done by Afu. He decided to go for the left angle in, because if no one does indeed decide to go for the jungle right there, it completely just wastes 2 people time.
Yep.
But instead, he goes in, finds the angle, completely goes around, and that's just being patient. And he reads no one perfectly. A lot of Storms at this point will just farm out this side jungle camp, get their level 6, and then you have a free lane. The Leshrac will never kill you.
And once he gets into that position, right, it's really hard to gank him because he's right on the high ground. Your smoke is going to pop. He's going to spot you. He's right by his shrine. There's going to be TP rotations. So it was crucial for RNG to catch him before he retreated to his jungle. Lanem is going to be spotted.
And he's just trying to soak
by that
XP.
ward.
Trying to slow down Roger as much as possible. But like I said, he's going to hit level 2 conversions. Lanem's still level 2 only.
How do you fix this problem for Lanem? Does like Setsu at some point give up the mid lane to Lanem for him to be able to make a comeback?
I'm not sure, because it's a little bit scary having a Tidehunter in the game. Especially when he has this many levels early on. What ends up happening is any sort of initiation that happens, you can sort of play like a Quap or a Puck where a fight goes on, your team's getting assailed under the tower, you TP in, and you threaten with Ravage.
Look at Flyby. He's just laying into Pasha, and Pasha, for the most part, has been ignoring him, and the CS reflects that. Pasha really has not been shut down by Flyby all that much. It's just a few CS behind him, despite the fact that we do have this 2 levels Curse of Avernus plus Phase Boots on the Abaddon. Solo trying to interrupt Monet's farming.
Yeah, they're going to bring up Roger here too.
But Monet does have the Chemical Rage. He's going to pop it here. Afu also rotating over to make sure there isn't a greater force of VP heroes. Everything's all about Monet right now, and this is not the Alchemist of old where you're farming up to be able to get 4 or 5 items and then you're finally a threat. This is a very mid-game centric Alchemist in the meta right now. Lanem's going to be gone on the bottom lane. Pasha rotating out of his lane. He says, it's time to take some tower, boys. They cannot bite into the Ravage, and so they should be able to get that kill and that tower for free-ish.
And this is the best part about this Tidehunter, is because he's been given a free lane, you know that he's strong. He has Phase Boots, Bracer. It's not easy to burst him. You don't want to fight around him. And Ramsey's TP's top, but Flyby is not an easy kill either.
And that's why I said ish, right? Is that Flyby was going to try and pressure that top tower, but Ramses does manage to clear out most of the creep wave, keeps the pressure off that tower, still getting CS. He's just not really threatened by a solo Abaddon all that much.
And they're going to run into Solo here.
Oh, Monet managed to get the kill on Solo.
I mean, he hung around for so long. Like, Monet was just farming. Yeah. He kept poking his head, and at some point, somebody was going to come in. Like, the fact that he didn't think he was going to get punished for that was a little bit crazy, but it doesn't really mean too much as it's just an ogre. The bigger news for VP is they were able to defend their top tower and get the bottom one for free.
They're trying to jump. Setsu here is going to be pulled back to Solo with the Fire Blast. Chain setting him up. Setsu still alive, but the final nail in the coffin is going to be the Gush from Pasha. It's another rotation by him, picking up this team fight. You expected maybe that he would be farming his lanes for 15 minutes, but no. This has been an active Tidehunter as soon as he's gotten level 7.
He needs to be too, because he doesn't have a 4 position. There's no other playmaker in the game for him.
Yep. 3-3, 10-minute bounty runes are coming up, and you know, with an Alchemist in the game, there's always going to be fight about it.
Yeah, plus no one is a little bit hampered by all the action that happened. The gank, he just got treads. It's not fun to gank his Storm without treads. Don't have enough attack speed. You want the ability to tread swap when you do gank. Now that he has it, maybe he gets active trying to build into that Kaya. I'd like to see him rotate and play around this top lane, though. I don't think that flyby is really the hero that you necessarily want to go for. He's not an easy kill, and I feel like it takes too long. The alternative is I could see them collapse into mid tower. I'd like to see some sort of smoke play. Bring your Ravage. Show how strong your Tide is at all times. The only downside is they don't really push towers that quickly.
No, they certainly do not. The only reason they took bottom is just because they had 4 heroes there.
Yeah,
that's maybe part of the reason Pasha has been hanging around this jungle area. He's taking away from Monet while simultaneously putting sort of a passive pressure on mid lane, ready to make that rotation. While top lane, Ramsey's trying to go and kill on Lana, but there is going to be the Aphotic Shield, and if anything, Ramsey's got to be careful. If his rage runs out, Flyby could go for the silence, but that's what Infest is for. Takes away the Siege Wagon while the rest of his team with the Siege Wagon of their own.
So this is the play that they make. Bring your Tide to the front line, and Flyby's like, you can do that to bottom, but not to mid.
Yeah.
This is the correct play. They were making it around the Siege Wagon. They brought all their cores here. We talked about how important it is in our other cast too. Protecting this mid tower is what enables some of the greedier cores like Alchemist. It's what allows you to protect the jungle without having to smoke, because Lana forced to TP out of top.
All the more important when you're matched up against an Alchemist, right? Like trying to take away some of his farm. Take advantage of the fact that he is AFK jungling right now, is not going to come out of that area until he has Radiance +1 item, usually maybe Blink, possibly AC.
And I'd like to see them continue to try to go for this mid tower though. Let Roger get his mech, he's somewhat close to it. Make your way towards mid, show the strength of your 5-man.
It's hard though, with Flyby sitting there, he is so far, sitting at 5,200 net worth, even ahead of the Lifestealer with Flats and Phase Boots.
I mean, he's serving a similar purpose as the Tidehunter, but he wasn't forced to go for the 5-man as early. Yeah. That's the big difference here. Pasha. Run into Pasha.
Backstroke nearby, but RNG, who had smoked up on the high ground, they're going to be able to find him. Purging Pasha. They're going to be able to get the silence on him as well. Pasha holding on to the Ravage for a while, but now he can turn. Papa potentially does manage to get it off the hole. Right on top with the 3-man black hole. They got completely baited in. That watermelon looked awfully delicious, and RNG wanted to take the bite. They do manage to finish off the Tide, but it's going to cost them 2, possibly 3. Another Aphotic Shield activates the Shrine. Flyby, very tanky here. Knows that he needs to be able to fight back. He's got no other options. A second round of Aphotic Shield for him. Is VP really going to try and chase him down all this way? Another Aphotic Shield's coming up, but the Fire Blast multicast comes just a bit too late and a bit too far away.
Still a very good fight for them, as they're going to run in, find art style here. War trapped up by Lanham, trying to get out, but this should be enough as Lanham picks up the last hit, but Ramsey's during this entire time trying to get back into this game through the farm. But he might be a little bit behind right now because the Alchemist has just completed his Radiance during this time.
What is the timing that you're usually looking for with a Lifestealer against an Alchemist? How does that matchup really work?
I don't know, because I don't think you can go straight up for the Radiance.
Yeah.
I feel like that loses you the game, which is why indeed he opts to go for the Armlet, because you're always going to be one item behind the Alchemist in that regard.
Yeah.
He'll get BKB, AC, then he's unkillable anyways.
And your damage over time just really isn't going to have effect on an Alchemist.
Yeah, you want burst.
Rage. You want that big burst, so that's why he's going Armlet. Probably, what, Deso after that? Maybe an AC at some point?
Yes, I'd like to see... I could see Deso AC. Yeah. I think that's the perfect build, in fact.
And you've got the lineup to be able to enable that burst with a Storm Spear.
The only downside is their initial burst is going to come onto the backline.
Yeah.
What'll happen is Ramses hops into the Storm. They try to catch out the Shadow Demon. Once he gets bursted, maybe then you move on to the Shaman. And you sort of have to just leave the Alk for last. Hope that you have enough control for him, which VP likely do. Their lineup just has to greed out a little bit more because of Roger.
Setsu. Virtus Pro, they have their eyes on him. The slow roll forward from no one is going to be able to catch Setsu. The TPs are coming in. The Shadow Demon looking to be able to get that disruption, but he's just not there in time. Afu now looks for the offensive disruption. He's got both Flyby as well as Monet, who's going to make his first showing with the Radiance. Solo is going to be the victim once again of RNG's rotation.
And they feel fine about that. The Storm gets out no problem. Was able to pick up the last hit because of that plus 30 overload damage talent. A lot more Storms have been taking it lately. And it especially helps if you're trying to enable other cores. If you know that you're not the real one position, which I don't think he is in a game like this. All he has to do is be able to fight in the mid game. And RNG are taking advantage of this.
Words being used with that curse as well.
And Setsu's not quite there yet. Maybe they take the fight.
On him. He's going to be a little bit low immediately. The Aquatic Shield comes out. They're turning around Hex. Oh, no one didn't expect that one, but he is going to be saved. He's able to jump out. Now the Ravage coming down is going to be able to hit the Abaddon while they focus down the Shadow Demon, but he managed to get off the disruption. Can Flyby save him, or else he's just going to focus on Monet entirely. Monet in front of all these heroes now with Setsu in with Radiance as well, as this burn damage coming out from the Last Strike. It's too much for VP to be able to handle. Oh, Ramsey's trying to man fight against this Alchemist with the Fire Blast. Can they actually do it with the Gush as well? So much minus armor. Monet no longer has the Chemical Rage, and he's actually going to fall. No one dies, but it looks like VP will take on Setsu as well, with Pasha living through it all. RNG, they came through and thought that they were bigger than VP with their Radiance and Leshrac timing, but it didn't work.
No, Setsu is still dead. For a little bit too long, he's making his way up, just doesn't have enough time. As I'm gonna run into the Tide real quick, but I mean, Pasha in this game has been an absolute monster. His positioning, the way he's been using his Ravage, his team fight, his positioning in that fight enabled all of that.
I think what's cool about that is that his movements and stuff have been very atypical of Tidehunters.
Yes.
Right? And it takes a smart player to be able to think outside of the box, think outside of your average Tidehunter games, and think about what will win us this game.
Oh, for sure. Pasha right now is playing to win 1-1-7, but his score doesn't really quite reflect the impact that he's had in this game.
Yeah.
He's just been a thorn in RNG's side, and you'd like to see them bring him here so that he can defend mid, and look at that, he's here again. It's going to make the jump.
For the captain of VP, but Bottom, he's going to be a bigger one with a beautiful black hole. Managing to lock down to 3, and it looks like Monet's going to get popped before Flyby could provide any sort of saving grace. Now Wafu will die as well. How many times are you going to kill Solo before you realize it's just a bait?
And they all have range heroes. They have a lot of range heroes, but they keep running into the black hole of Roger. And again, it's Pasha leading the defense for his team, telling them, we're not giving up this tower.
Nope.
And as a result, they're going to take mid tower for themselves. This is going to open up the jungle for them to take advantage of, and that's exactly what they draw around. They're saying this area is now ours. Don't allow RNG back in here.
Very decisive movements from VP, whether it's taking that top fight or this one right here, reading the fact that RNG have put themselves in a bad position trying to move into that high ground after Solo, and all get clumped up for just a beautiful black hole. Even if they didn't have Ravage, VP still red. That was a good fight to take.
I think RNG's thought process there was there's no Ravage up, and we have so many different cancels for this Enigma.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we? Top lane.
Oh, look at that win probability. It's nasty already. VP with the 82% win probability by 17.5 minutes in. I mean, Dendy said this is going to be Bears who are just going to be farming up some honey. VP have been doing that. They have the better late game with this Storm Spirit, Tide, and Enigma combo. Let's not forget that Lifestealer and Ogre are not slouches in the late game either. This is really concerning for RNG.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that we all thought was VP would be a little bit more passive. I think even Dendy thought they'd be a little bit more passive, and they just sort of been running at them, and it's all on the heels of Pasha. I can't talk about his play enough in this game because I feel like his positioning, the way he's rotating around, protecting his team's towers and leading fights. This is a Tidehunter without Blink Dagger, and he's always in a good position. Bottom lane.
Jumping forward. Oh no, he actually pulled down the illusion. And
this
now,
might be a death now.
Ramses is way too far forward as a result. A bit of an error. Oh, Ravage going out, but now Ravage has been used for nothing. VP, now it's their turn to make some errors as the pressure of TI continues to crack teams.
Maybe, I think if he actually hits the right one, probably gets out.
Yeah.
He doesn't get purged there. It's pretty quick.
He quickly kills the Shadow Demon. Might be able to infest inside of the Storm Spirit. They get out together, but now RNG have an opening here. Now it's their turn to punish mistakes. Getting a Roshan like this is really going to kill VP's timing that they were getting to, where they were able to actively and confidently contest RNG.
And without the Black Hole, without the Ravage, that's really what signals this. Is
I mean, I can't
Pulse
believe
drop.
they're really going to try this without Black Hole, without Ravage, but the Midnight Pulse is forcing RNG outside of the pit. Now the Disruption going in, they're going to try and get the kill onto the Storm Spirit, and they've got it too. With the Yield Scepter into the Split Earth, and the Unstable Concoction as well. Ramses trying to finish off some of the supports, but there is going to be the Disruption out from Afu. Flyby is ready to go with some heals as well. Autumn's going to be able to limp away. No one with a buyback is going to be able to finish off at least one support, but Ramses, he needs to be able to get out of here with his Rage Timer, but the Unstable Concoction nails him. He's trying to get away from Flyby right now. Slow it down. Oh, the Black Hole instantly gets canceled by Sensu. Beautiful Yield Scepter by him. And now looks to be able to chase down the heroes. They couldn't actually get the two big cores of VP, so it'll have to suffice for Roger. The 4th-position Enigma, he will be the one to fall. And RNG, can they go back to the pit after a short pit stop at the Shrine? Roshan still at 2,000 health.
Absolutely, this is theirs for free now. The Black Hole just came up, wasn't able to accomplish enough. And this is going to be relatively free for them.
Yeah, look at that. Monet carrying that fight when it comes to the damage, but it's also the disables and the saves from the other RNG members.
It's if one hero can't get you, another one will. They have so many different ways to protect each other, which is what we were waiting for. They finally get off a clean fight.
And all those buybacks, the two supports of RNG bought back, but well worth it to be able to get a buyback out of no one while still claiming the Aegis.
And Lifestealer going for the Deso, it looks like.
And he's almost got it. At least getting within striking distance, but he can't afford to die here, and he's already used the invest. That's going to make things awkward, especially if he gets hexed up by Laudum, who had Aether Lens, was able to get the stun outside of the tree range, and Ramses now being
He does have rage.
up. Does have the rage up in a second, but he won't be able to TP away so easily if Monet can actually find him and punch him down, but they went left while Ramses went right. 12-16, and we've got ourselves a pretty even game. It is an Alchemist game, so that net worth being even may still be in the favor of VP, but RNG with the Aegis should be able to start knocking down some towers and build up a bigger net worth lead.
The scary part about the Aegis at this point is it gives you so much map control.
Yeah.
This is what's going to enable RNG to get a little bit more space on the map. They were sort of getting choked out for the time being, but this is how you continue to protect your jungle. If you notice the 2 wards that they were able to place as a result of these fights. And now they can get a little bit more aggressive.
They're just going to do the classic sweep from tier 1 to tier 2. They're strong enough that VP don't want to contest the first. There's still no Black Hole up. There is going to be a Ravage, but I don't think they're contesting Monet and all these Serpent wards. On the other side of the map, there is Roger trying to get some damage onto the tier 1 tower, but doesn't quite finish it off. If anything, Monet is going to be happy to find some Eidolons to farm.
Top lane not being denied for the time being. They're going to D-ward, reset the map a little around their Alk. There's only one more tier 2 tower to take, but it's the mid tower, and it's not an easy one.
But do you think RNG should go for it? What should their plan be with this remaining Aegis timer? Can they just boldly go to the tier 2, or is the team fight of VP too scary?
I think it's always scary. I think the better move is to sweep out this jungle as a group. Try to get wards down if you have any. Take advantage of this, but they actually don't have any. So maybe they just go down mid. They can meet the creep wave, it's almost there.
Monet, they push down top. He's gonna cut in this mid lane as well.
I think if you're
Bloodstone up
VP,
Storm Spirit.
Oh, they'll wait for the BKB on Enigma first.
Oh, is that coming in? Ooh, they do not have a cancel for it, so that would be a sick pickup. But RNG, they're going to push the pace. They've already taken this tier 2, but they are showing no signs of slowing down as Monet is going to go for the stun onto Solo, the follow-up, the split earth, a clean kill, no rebuttal from VP, and now going to be forced into a 4 versus 5.
And look at this tower, it's going down really quickly.
Yeah, Monet's just chopping it to bits, but they do have the Lifestealer and Fast combo. Money got Hex, as well as Fuel Scepter. They're going to try and hit with the split earth, and no one, he's just dead with that no, unless the Ravage can actually save him with the black hole on top, and he takes out. It's only the no one doesn't have buyback either. Afu does manage to actually kite around the Lifestealer as well. This is a disaster for VP.
And Afu's good.
Swims away, but the unstable concoction is taking. It's going to find the Tidehunter. He's going to burn out from the Radiance and the Aphotic Shield explosion. Just a little
Afu's still getting chased.
HP, but he's still good. And Ramses, who had been making this chase for so long, he does have his rage. He will be able to fight back, but what can he really do with it? Setsu, he's so mobile that Ramses certainly won't be able to bring him down. He's going to be forced to TP back to base, and that is going to be a mid lane of Barracks at least, if not more, with 40 seconds on the clock for no one.
Ramses just chased Afu around the map for almost a minute, doesn't die, wasn't able to help his team,
and
they're just gonna go for it.
Solo will fall, Roger has the buyback, oh no, they're gonna lose Ramses as well, who instantly buys back. How is VP gonna stop this push? Is RNG? They seem unstoppable right now.
It's happening in a hurry right now, Cap.
They're going to try and go for Afu with the Solar Crest, Aphotic Shield. Somebody heals coming out from the Mist Coil as well. They're going to turn onto Ramses. Monet runs out of the chemical range. A nice Fire Blast stun onto Monet. And now without the chemical range, they're going to try and bring down this Aegis. Monet, he's somewhat okay with this. They're actually going to try and focus on some of the other heroes as Monet will slowly take out. But first, he'll be able to bring
Monet's still alive.
Flyby. You have to deal with Monet at some point in time. He has the Radiance at burning you down. He has that AC aura. Now he's going to the BKB, but if they finish him off, there it is. They just wait out the Aegis. A beautiful read by VP.
It did cost them the racks, though.
It certainly did. That could not feel good for VP as they're down 9,000 net worth, 1.5 lanes of Barracks.
That's one of those weird situations where I think they knew that the Aegis was about to fade out. They had a better timer on it, obviously.
Yeah.
But the downside of it is the 100 HP Alk just took racks in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, he only needs a few seconds with that Assault Cuirass, even if he's not in chemical rage form.
And Lonem gonna run into no one here. They found him once again. Doesn't have the mana though.
Gonna get away from this one. The zip this time. Setsu, he's been really good on the timings with that Yule Scepter split earth. He's been reacting very quickly, but this time he missed on no one.
And for the next fight, they will have the BKB Black Hole, but I mean, timing-wise, what we've learned is Dendy's right.
Yeah.
They're gonna ball up. They're just gonna sort of go for it. I think VP were outplaying them. They were overplaying their late game lineup by taking these really smart fights, but they missed 1 or 2 ultis, and all of a sudden it just resets the game. They're able to take Roshan. I mean, they just march down towers.
We saw the win probability was heavily in the favor of VP at one point in time, but no longer. As now it's siding heavily with RNG, as it should. And it's going to take a bit of a miracle here for Virtus Pro. Let's see what they're able to pull off. Their backs against the wall in this game one. Virtus Pro have long been known to choke at the International. You heard it themselves. They said they don't know what it is, but the International is just a special tournament. And everybody else seems to fare okay, but VP always perform much worse than they have the rest of their DPC season. And the hope was that coming into this tournament, not being the front runners, not being one of the top 3 teams, may have given them a little more leeway against some of the other teams. Maybe they didn't study Virtus Pro as much. But being in the lower bracket and now potentially 1 game down against RNG, the VP curse seems to be returning. 17-18, 28 minutes in.
And this is where you stop things. There's no one. He's looking for the jump right now, but doesn't want to go in first. Doesn't have a BKB.
Yeah, we've seen that because the lack of the BKB, both the Shadow Shaman and Setsu's Leshrac.
Here's the problem.
Super fast on their timing.
You go in for Lonem, he gets disrupted.
Yeah.
Fight stuck. Fight just ends. you can't go on flyby. And if you can't go on flyby, then he'll just reset the fight for his team anyways. All your stuns are cleared out. He feels fine. Even if he gets Ravaged, he'll just pop his ulti.
VP gonna go up. They decide they're gonna try and fight around these shrines.
Oh, they went on the illusion!
They went on the illusion! They do have
He's just realized.
BKB. He does manage to get the black hole. The backline just evaporated. The two supports are already down. Senzu stunned up on the side here, but the cores of RNG are fighting strong, and they've already got a bash on Roger. The Meg's gonna be able to heal him up a little bit more. Miss Cole not gonna be enough. Ramses gets the rage off as well. Can they help him? He's got an infest. He should be able to get away. No one's out of mana. Just shy of being able to get to the other side of the cliff, but now he's stuck and now he's dead.
Oh no.
He has a buyback though.
That initiation. It took them so long to realize too. If they had the damage in that fight, maybe this looks a little bit different.
The buyback is available for no one. RNG are here in force. Pasha certainly needs the help. No one tries to jump up, immediately gets hexed up. He's trying to go for Abu. Justin, you pointed out anytime he's going for the back line, RNG has the answer, and Ramses will fail to get the kill that no one could not pick up on himself. And now he's being controlled up by the Shackles, finished up by Senzu, and that's it. RNG take game number 1 against the CIS powerhouse of Virtus Pro.
I mean, that game happened in a hurry. We were looking at an 82% win probability for VP at one point, and that was at like 17 minutes, and 10 minutes later, the game's just over.
Royal never give up, as you said, hit him in a hurry. And Monet giving the wave to the crowd who have been very supportive of RNG, giving them plenty of chance, cheering them on to victory here in game 1.
And now they're one game away from knocking out VP, a team that you and I predicted in the group stage before the games had started to potentially be our favorites. They didn't have that pressure going in.
We talked about it, said maybe the VP magic will come back in time for TI. Maybe they've been keeping their heads down, ready to go, but it seems like Virtus Pro, the choke is still real. How do they get their headspace out of this one? Over to the panel.
My goodness, what a game of Dota. And yeah, I think that's really the big thing that we do have to talk about. The casters have said it very, very well. And we look at VP, this is just a tournament sin that has been their roadblock.
Yeah, I was hoping we would see a bit better showing from VP today going into this. Okay, down you go. Yeah, I was hoping VP would just do better overall in this game, but like when it comes to the team fights, the things we're used to seeing from VP in the past is this really good understanding of how to play around each other, who goes in first, how you position yourself relatively. And in this game, I just see countless situations where no one Storm just jumps in, gets hexed, and dies. And when you watch the really top-tier teams of this tournament so far play, they're very good at this, like weaving, buying time, playing off that. VP, it's just not there.
They're shrinking like Rich, whereas RNG are rising to the occasion.
Major shrinkage.
Yes.
Yeah, I do want to say, there's kind of one moment towards the end of the game, Trent, that all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is looking like it might be done and
Kind of
dusted.
just over. I think like when they had that last chance, right, where they tried the initiation, last Hail Mary team fight, and then you have yourself positioned so nicely with the smoke being popped. So no one's like, oh, of course, it's the right Lesh track, but he's hiding out of vision. They go on the illusion, and that was just kind of it. I mean, the game was probably over that point anyway, but that's a nice big defeat there at the end of like still getting a real stylish play.
Now, I do want to take a moment here. We typically don't get to talk about it as much, Toby, because we do obviously have all of our glowy-brained folks over on the draft panel who really do break apart.
Would you like a dull brain, would you? Like a little dim light?
We're the cuties.
Oh,
right?
the cuties. Yeah, cuties. All right, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
When we talk about this draft, I really do want to tear into it for a second because you were the one who really highlighted the draft, right? You were like, it's all going to be about the draft for me. What did you see go down?
You know, the draft actually felt like it was a team secret starter. Like it was like, okay, we're going to run the Enigma, we're going to run the Tidehunter together, and through this overwhelming power, we'll just take over. The Storm will get some space, but then you kind of get this Ramses lifestealer, which is very VP. Like, I'm just going to sit in my lane, I'm going to be able to survive, I'm just going to be able to tank, and eventually I'll carry this game. And that's why I said, like, I want to watch the draft, because I feel like, I don't know if you guys agree, but like, it's just disjointed. Everything doesn't look like it's working towards one objective, unlike what happens when you have like this Leshrac lineup, which is just able to push after you have one good fight.
I don't know if I feel like that was a lineup problem. They actually played a really good early game, and Dota Plus never lies, right?
Yeah.
That was an 80-20 game for VP at one point.
Yep.
You've accomplished the goal of the game. You're leading on gold minute 20 against Alchemist. You're doing great.
But isn't that the key word there?
You're
Is
doing
that
great.
Alchemist?
Oh, I
I
thought
mean,
you meant you're
come
doing
on.
great. VP is doing great. It means they're gonna fail.
Did anyone
That's
think
what we're
Alchemist
going
was actually going to lose for a second?
for. I thought they were
I
definitely.
thought it was going to happen.
It's Alchemist against Enigma late game, and you have farm on VP's correct heroes. Like the game is going super well. I don't think that was a drafting problem. I think they got outplayed in fights. And they RNG played around the cooldowns.
Yeah.
Tide ultis down, black holes down. They take fights.
Yeah, I do want to kind of put that under the microscope too, because you talk about actually looking and seeing. It looks like it's an 80-20 game. We've seen, and this is back in groups, we've seen comebacks from Megas, right? I think we've seen 5 at the tournament already, at least 5 in groups. And the question is, yes, the game has changed. That's more possible than like the first time we saw it all those TIs ago. But when you look at that situation, what is causing it? Is it sheer outplay, or is it actually the onus on the team that throws it? Do you think that there is some additional pressure?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely onus on the person who's ahead, right? Because in order to capitalize on that, mistakes have to be made. I think they were at a point where they had to make a mistake in order for RNG to get back into it. They did. It's also, again, it's the Alchemist in terms of like, not only can you not, you can never make mistakes, but an Alchemist just punishes it so hard because every second that like you're dead, right? He's gaining, he's climbing, he's getting the next item and selling the next item, and you can't keep up with trying to deal with how he's itemizing against you.
And there's the human aspect too. They can't see the graph. They don't know what state the game is in. You might feel like the game is very different than it actually is. It's easy for us to say, oh, we look at the graphs, we see all the wards, blah, blah, blah. But the teams have their own vision, they have their own read on the game, and maybe VP felt like, okay, we're behind, we need to force fights. And we're just here like, why are you forcing fights? You're winning,
Yeah, this is very, very insightful. And my mother actually just texted me not so long ago, and she was talking about how insightful she thinks Sin truly is. She's a big fan of Sin.
Yep.
And one of the other things she wanted to know, she goes, they keep talking about Alchemist. What's going on with Alchemist? Why is Alchemist so good?
Because he can make potions.
Okay,
You can tell her that. That's something she could probably digest. Yep, there you go. Send a text out quickly. Well,
she said Sin lol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said
wow,
Sin lol.
Nobody could have seen that coming.
Oh, man.
That was really unpredictable.
He's rich deep into the bag today.
That's my mom for you, But what is it about the Alchemist? I mean, I can actually rely on you, unlike Sin.
On me?
Well, yeah, what is it about the Alchemist? I heard.
Sure,
Get him, Toby.
I'll answer your question that's not Alchemist related then. I actually kind of felt like Alchemist got a big helping hand by this Abaddon that was just able to also be a frontliner alongside the Alchemist. So even though the Alchemist didn't, he was ahead by 1,000, you expect to be like 3,000 around the 20-minute mark. You just win this fight. It's like, okay, now we take Roshan and we push with Aegis Immortal 1 and just shields and harassment from the other. They're like, there was no real answer that they could find to both of these problems, which then just made it so Leshrac didn't have to have all these survivability items, because you could see him, Lesh, full movement speed build, just wanted to hunt, just wanted to push, enabled by both the Alchemist and the Abaddon.
I can really get behind this idea that Rich is going to ask us a question and we just answer a different one.
Yeah.
I think I could get used to that. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sin, what do you think of me?
Trent, that was a great game.
thank you.
I mean, I think that was a great game.
It's really good. A little unexpected, I would say, to take game 1 like that, but this is what the fans come for. I mean, definitely these fans came for that, as you could hear. Very excited for RNG because I'm sure, they were here cheering for LGD and VG. They have expectations and hype. Today was more of, I was just like, well, maybe they'll do it. And now suddenly they're up a game. And now they're just going to even further to fall in disappointment like true fans.
Hey, Sim was back in this team. You were back in this from the start.
RNG?
Yeah.
From what start?
Well, the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I said toward the end of the groups, RNG picked up steam, and I think they're showing that they've improved the locks. Their day 1 and 2 were not good. By the way, do you still want an answer to the Alchemist question? Do you still want to know?
So I want to go back to people who were, credit where credit's due. One of the first people who really was hyping up this RNG team was actually Kyle. I remember we were all in a room together with Kyle, and Kyle was just like, I think all of the Chinese teams are looking super good headed into the main event, and he really did.
Keen?
I mean,
Sorry, what? Continue.
Seriously, though, I think we did see a lot from this region as a whole. Keen obviously going to be the first team that does bow out from the region, but they did it in style. I think it was very exciting to watch them play, but we still have 3 Chinese teams here.
Yeah, it's the toughest region, right? Yeah. I mean, sorry, Europe. I think trying to qualify and play there the whole year in China.
Tougher qualifiers. I don't know if the region was harder. There's the European or the Western teams at this tournament are still looking pretty strong.
That's very true, but I think through the entire year, I'd rather have played in Europe than China. Does that sound good? No?
How do you feel about that, Sin? Yeah.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah, what do you know, Sin?
Honestly, I think it's 50-50.
50-50?
I think both regions have been really strong. Like, it depends what your goal is, right? If it's qualifying to the majors, in Europe, you're playing against major winners every time, and in China, you're playing against 6th place teams every time.
Well, you're playing against minor and major winners.
Yeah, well,
like Vici game.
That is true. Vici, yeah.
They had to make their way there
Toward the
first time.
end of the
Yes.
season, China got stronger. I
Very
would
true.
agree with that. I would absolutely agree.
Ramped up a little bit in your mind, and hey, it's a pretty good time to do that as well, headed into TI. Now, when we head into the next game, we can start to look ahead now. I think we've really gotten to look at everything that did happen in that first game. VP, how did they really start to break through here? It was the draft. That was the story for you in the first game. Maybe didn't deliver. Is it still the case?
Maybe the guys are right. Well, you normally are. Maybe it's just not down to a draft thing. I still feel like they had a misidentity in the draft. That's why I was talking like the live seal just didn't fit with the rest of it. Even though it fit VP, but again, it was like two different identities. But how are you meant to play VP Dota? Like, how do they get back to what they were before? Like, it just doesn't.
They haven't found it. I think enabling Pasha is extremely difficult, and I feel like in their last 2 series, that's what they've been trying to do. And Pasha looked so good at the start of this game, right, on the Tidehunter, but then the previous series, they tried to give him this Pango. He also started the game at top net worth and tried to lead his team and carry it through, but it feels like out of that off-lane position, there's only so much you can do. Whereas before, I feel like they used to be able to kind of give the reins to Pasha in a lot of situations, and he did make that space for Ramses in combination with no one. Now, it just seems too difficult.
I don't know if it's really a drafting problem at this point. Like, you can try to make some adjustments in draft, but I think the main thing is in here right now. And that's really what you got to work on. That's where the coach needs to step in. You know, VP put a lot of pressure on themselves, try to play more freely. The way you can adjust to this and draft is pick heroes that play more freely. Don't pick these like super cooldown reliant. We need to be together all the time and have this tight Enigma, big AoE combos. Pick something that, you know, skirmishes, ganks, Beastmaster, these types of heroes. Pangolier could also work.
Yeah, I mean, it was
could
close.
still work.
It was still looking fine for them.
I totally agree, but it's such a large order, right? To break a giant mental block. A lot of the times I use this example of the mile, right? And you look back in the history of the mile, and people weren't able to break that record for such a long time because they didn't know it was possible. I think right now, when VP looks inside of themselves, they're not sure if it's possible for them to actually win this biggest tournament, the biggest stage of the entire year, and RNG is going to try to make sure that they aren't able to do it. RNG wants to keep on moving forward here. They can do it in just one game, and they have the crowd behind them.
It would just be really fantastic if Virtus.pro can just throw away all care factors. Like, okay, we're down, we're not winning, we can't connect anything up right now. You know what? Just YOLO it. Just pick up any kind of comfort heroes, go back into that zone, and just see how hard you can punch down RNG. As you said, play the short kind of breaks and just, like, get in there.
Toby thinks it's a matter of going for the YOLO. Let's see what Casey and the folks from the squad have to say about that.
So I want to talk about consistency because Virtus.pro is very well known for being consistent. And you're once again coming in after a very successful season to a TI. What do you think is the biggest reason behind the fact that you're able to play so well?
Я цифа.
Ты.
Да. Кто отвечает?
Давай ты сначала, потом
я отвечаю.
Да, это на русском.
Ладно. Короче, мы все очень сильные игроки индивидуально, и так сложилось, что когда я пришел в эту команду, был косяк, я как-то, наверное, дополнил ее, и так сложилось мета, наверное, что мы начали всех выигрывать, и потом были некие трудности по игре, но мы с ними справлялись, некоторые трудности даже остались, но мы будем идти по турниру, как и на каждом, набирать. В этом наша большая сила.
What are you doing differently this time around?
Борис решил, что не поедет на этот интернешнл, поэтому мы решили взять панду на этот раз.
What makes TI9 feel like it could be your most successful one yet?
Панда с нами, враги нападают.
Besides the panda.
Besides the... Так.
Можешь сказать, что твой цвет любимый фиолетовый? У меня, например, да. Единственное, что могу точно сказать, что наша система, по которой мы готовились к интернешнлу в этом году, она кардинально отличается от того, что было в прошлом, позапрошлом. И, в принципе, это может дать какие-то результаты, потому что мы делали все совсем по-другому, мы рассчитывали по-другому, как-то рассчитали силы по-другому. Мы все-таки... Тогда мы просто очень много тренировались бездумно. Сейчас мы больше пошли в понимание, а не в практику. И, мне кажется, мы во многом преуспели.
I asked Secret the same question, so I'll ask it of you too. VP and Secret, you both have a lot of similarities. You're both coming in at the top of the DPC. Your previous TI finishes have been 5th, 6th. How would you compare the two teams? What, in your opinion, what makes VP stronger than Secret, even though you have similar histories?
Чем побеждать будем?
Не
Team
знаю.
Secret, не знаешь?
Минером.
Чем мы сильнее? На самом деле на интернешнале ты никогда не можешь быть уверен, сильнее ты какой-либо другой, ну, в какой форме она находится. Например, мы с ними не играли скримы, и мы не знаем, чем они играют, как они играют, хорошо у них или плохо, поэтому все покажет сам турнир.
You've also played together for a long time on the same roster. I just interviewed Kuro, and he said that there are pros and cons to that, and that sometimes it's great because you know what you're getting into, and sometimes it can lead to complacency. What do you say to that, having played together so long?
Да, очевидно, есть и плюсы, и минусы. То, что, ну, минусы, когда бывают разногласия и не можешь прийти к общему, то единственный выход бывает иногда, что, ну, забыть это и продолжать играть, потому что если люди не могут прийти к общему, то это может привести к плохим последствиям. Но в целом мы все друг друга очень хорошо знаем и где-то друг другу уступаем в этом плане. Идем на уступки друг другу, поэтому это делает нас сильнее. И вот и все.
Всегда можно еще водки напиться, если что-то не так.
Да, да. Drink водка, play дотка. Из плюсов то, что мы друг друга хорошо знаем, и как друзья мы друг другу идем на уступки. Вот, если не можем прийти к общему в игре, поэтому это делает нас сильнее.
Мы семья.
Семья, да.
What do you think is different about TI? Because VP has a history of playing really well throughout the season and then coming to TI and placing 5th, 6th.
Я на самом деле не знаю, почему-то у нас часто происходила ситуация, что мы крайне уверенные в себе ребята приезжаем на турнир, и что-то у нас вдруг ломает, скажем так. Что-то происходит такое, что немножко меняет наш взгляд на игру, появляются какие-то разногласия, и, к сожалению, пока что на интернешналах мы с этим, как видите, не справились, не получилось, но я надеюсь, что этот интернешнл пойдет совсем по другому графику.
How does it feel having the international in China for the first time?
Ну, необычно, но мне лично хотелось бы, чтобы для меня ассоциация International это с Америкой, Сиэтлом. Всегда, когда еще не играл ни разу на International, мечтал там играть всегда. Может, тут даже лучше будет, поэтому увидим. Режим ожидания, так сказать.
Very well done. Good job, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Well, originally, before we jump down to the interview, you heard from Toby that maybe they needed a little bit of YOLO to be able to take it. Then we hear maybe they just need a little bit of techies.
Hey, you know what? I'll feel really better when you start using reference points from both Syndra as well as Trent and not from me to start our conversations.
I noticed he's getting closer and closer to you as well. I think he's taking a liking over there.
So you just want to wear a vest, don't you? You need to, like, your used car salesman look is absolutely fantastic, but you need to level up to the vest.
I think it's a safari. Got a couple animals on there. It's
Hey,
perfect.
man, we can look at me all we want, but we really want to be looking at the teams here. We want to talk about
that's what
everything
we're
that
here
they have
for,
in store.
right?
I thought they were on a safari with the panda. They're all about the panda, right? Isn't that what you're leading into here?
They're all about their energy. Their chakras are blocked. They need to unbreak them.
Can I just say, we've talked a lot about VP.
Thank you,
Obviously,
sir.
they're a big name coming into this that people are expecting a lot out of, and they have flat out just not been delivering, that's fair to say. But I do want to talk a little bit more about RNG, because the reason Kyle had this team rated really high going in was that he'd been talking to some players, and the teams were just saying RNG is destroying people in scrims. Like, RNG were winning all their scrims, they were playing super well. Lots of the teams going into the group stage were expecting RNG to be one of the top placements, and then when it's crunch time, they're not delivering. So maybe they had a bit of a mental problem that they needed to overcome, but now that you start getting those wins, you start out slow, you recover during the group stage, sure, you don't make up a bracket, but you get better and better and better. You win your first best of one, you win your first game against VP. This team is maybe getting to that state mentally that they were in their scrims.
Right.
And that's scary, because then suddenly if all the teams were scared of these guys and they're playing up to their level, they could go really deep.
That
We've
was
seen lower bracket
exactly-
runs
yeah.
before.
That was exactly what Kyle was talking about. He was just like, the scrims, the scrims, the scrims. And I feel like that is something that Kyle has always evaluated really high. I actually remember that kind of the first time that I got to work with a bunch of you guys, and Kyle was talking about the scrims. I believe that time it was actually EG that he was talking about. And how much stock can you put in scrims? Because now you're starting to say it seems like they weren't hitting that form. Maybe they're starting to find it now. Do you think like when you get to a tournament that you can look at the scrims a lot and say, okay, this is how we think they're gonna do?
Well, how many times do the scrims actually reflect in the results?
It seems to go the
It
other way
varies.
more often,
It
I would
varies.
say. But maybe it's because everyone always hypes up someone. Because they're like, yo, I heard that these guys are absolutely destroying the scrims right now. You guys have no idea how good they are. And then they come in and they just place like bottom 4. That is definitely not unusual. You know, like it happens quite a bit. So there is that element of just getting on the stage. I think it probably helps having someone like Lonham who can like, you know, he's been here several times. It's not like all these players are like super new or anything, like they're names that we know, but he's kind of one of those like OG veterans. It's hard to beat him in the whole space.
He was in the first ever grand final of TI. This guy's retired and come back like all the greatest Dota players have. Like it's he's done coach roles, he's done captain roles, he's done like normal roles in teams. It's like this guy's got everything. And you're right, if these guys get better and better as time goes on, they've got the leadership that's there in the game while the game is going.
And they have more than just one player that's experienced at going far in TI. Monet played on LFY at TI7, who arguably at multiple points of that tournament looked like the absolute best team. They ended up getting third. They didn't manage to get to that grand final, but man, they had some moments
they
of
were
brilliance.
headstrong. They were crazy.
They were really, really good. And if we get that style coming out of Monet, maybe he can activate some of the other newcomers to the team a little bit into getting comfortable.
Sounds like they're trying to bring that out of them right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. You look at RNG right now, and you just look at the facts. You get down to brass tacks right now. And I think you kind of say RNG feels like the favorite all of a sudden in this series. They come in as the underdog. I'm not sure how much you guys really get to see from home besides our faces and the players. This place is packed, and there's an overwhelming desire from a lot of these people to see RNG come out on top. And then you have the added factor that you have a team that we're saying has a mental block, and they just lost a game against a team that they didn't expect to lose that first game to. As much as we've seen them in some of the other tournaments throughout the years, whether it's majors, minors, we see them able to drop games, drop series at the beginning of the tournaments, and they're able to wash that all away, and they're able to bounce back. Do you think that they're going to be able to do it here? We're going to find out very shortly, guys. All of the players are inside of the booths. We're ready to get this one started. The fans are already cheering. Let's see. This is an elimination match. Only one can stay with us in TI. We're going to find out who that is right now.
Virtus Pro versus RNG. Game 2.
Time now, game number 2, about to get underway with drafts, picks. Gunnar joining me once again, and Dendy as well. Dan, I want to talk to you first. Navi, sorry, not Navi, Virtus Pro, they kind of collapsed after an early game win there. What happened? What went wrong?
Well, it's very weird. Actually, for VP, overall, the tournament is very weird for me because this is a CIS team, and usually CIS teams are very aggressive, but on this tournament, both Navi and VP were pretty passive teams. They have like longest games in the tournament, and I was hoping that VP maybe at playoff we're gonna start playing more aggressively, but they picked Enigma, and Enigma is pretty much late game hero where you always deal with a game to the point where it can't get cancelled black hole and stuff like this. But RNG, they did amazing pickup as Alchemist. I think it was like super good, and because VP already showed their Tidehunter and Enigma, and that's how Alchemist got so fat. Usually teams trying to stop Alchemist from farming, but in this game it was almost impossible, like you guys mentioned. Yes, so Alchemist just got out of hand, and then what was strange, that VP was actually leading in the game, but then there was like, and it was super good for them, with very late game draft. But then one Russian team fight and it's over. It's very hard for Stone Spirit to jump in and do stuff when he's playing against heroes like Rasta and Leshak Eol, those instant disables, and then you need to jump those heroes like Leshak and Rasta to kill them first, but they have Abaddon and Shadow Demon to cover them up as protection. So
really well put together RNG draft.
I do have good news for you and all the viewers. Alchemist is banned. Yeah.
Oh, you don't love some Alchemist, Gunnar?
I love it when I'm playing it.
Okay.
Or it's on my team.
The other 9 players less so.
Yeah, maybe the other 4.
Okay.
The Alch plus 4.
Yeah.
Another 5, a little less. So Royal Never Give Up picked the less Shadow Demon. That's a kind of a, I think that's more one of the classicer combos of this tournament. It's been picked a lot. Gives you setup if you want to put them as supports. You can put a mid Lesh. You can even do an offlane Lesh and a support Shadow Demon. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. On the other side, Virtus Pro picks a Warlock, which we've seen a couple times today, I think. It gives some sustain in the lane. It gives you a lot of mid-game, late-game teamfight and scaling, and then Centaur, which going into the tournament I thought was going to be a hotter pick from the offlane.
Yeah. You mentioned aggression from VP, then. Is that their best style and their best way to approach this matchup? Like, last game was like all-in teamfight late game. Do you want to see them go back to the CIS style?
I would love them too, but it's pretty hard to switch when entire tournament you play pretty passively, when suddenly you want to play aggressive. We see now we pick Kentaur Warlock, which is insanely strong combo, but it was strong before last little patch that came out. After that, Kentaur got a little bit nerfed. There is no double stout shield and stuff like this, but it's still some aggressiveness already and some team fight happening. But RNG getting their Leshak and Shadow Demon combo, which is already cool. Leshak can flex into different positions, and it's a lot of speed already into the game.
It does feel like VP are picking the heroes that were good, like you say, a few patches ago and aren't like the current meta, but it's comfort zone. And as far as VP goes, everyone always talks about, you know, TI with them, how they kind of underperform, they choke, and as far as, you know, maybe playing your best Dota, going to your comfort zone may be the best way to approach this now elimination game for VP.
Yeah, going into the tournament, a lot of teams were picking Centaur in the first phase, like first pick. And it's because they would have this offlaner that would win his lane like 60-70% of the time, almost against any matchup. And now, a lot of the times, the safe laners can tri-lane, and then they can shut down this the Centaur, or the Centaur is just dodging. And then at that point, you can pick an Axe, which is just a stronger hero. So he's kind of fallen out of the meta. And Tiny, yeah, that's been rising up in the meta this whole tournament, right?
The flexibility with the lanes, we've seen a lot more of the core Tiny come back, not just the 4 position. So this is an aggressive hero, though. Do you like the Tiny pick, Dendy?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's very flexible. It can go position 2, it can go position 4. I know that Roger plays an amazing Tiny. I know that Noon plays an amazing Tiny. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. What I worry about is, do we find a good lane for Kentaur in this game? That's what worries me, because I already see really strong lanes from RNG. Shadow Demon Leshak is pretty strong.
I really like the Gyro pick there. It's a deny pick for RNG, I think. The ET Gyro combo is really strong with the Aura and the Flat Cannon and the Rocket Barrage. So Virtus Pro taking it away gives them a strong carry for themselves and also takes away a strong carry for the other team.
It's also a cool pick because we've seen them run it mid lane as well as safe lane. So they're going to be able to go into that final pick, the 10th pick of the draft, and either pick a mid or a carry based on what RNG get.
Actually, ET and Shadow Demon, they have quite high win rate on this tournament. I think we have around 60% win rate at the TI, and both of those heroes are great. Shadow Demon is actually one of the most insane supports out there right now.
Yeah.
And this hero, I think, also we got Void. Void in matchmaking, actually, he's really strong.
Yeah.
That's what I saw, at least for last games before I left to TI. Yeah, this hero is crazy. He's giving up more team fight. But I don't know how RNG gonna make it up for Void, because usually their playstyle, they group up and they apply a lot of pressure. Oh, we see Omni Knight. Now I can see the image of that.
Yeah, you can grace your Void, he can just go in. You have the GA, which helps set against the Flat Cannon. If this Tiny is a core, when he gets this Ags Daedalus, the GA also is going to help that your cores defend against that. I think it lanes fairly well against the Gyro. It's not crazy, if you know, crazy good, crazy bad. His lane should be decent, I think.
What we're seeing here, so VP now thinking about position 4, position 2 or position 1, because Gyro can maybe still be mid lane against Leshak. I think Noon played a lot of games with Gyro like that, and maybe we want to secure the late game a little bit more than just having a Gyro. So most likely they watching for carry, and VP did it a lot. They picked carry for last pick. So let's see what we're thinking of this.
What would you think about putting the Gyro safe lane and picking, say, like Ember Spirit right now for the mid?
Ember Spirit. Well, it's pretty good because there is almost no control on RNG lineup, but at the same time I feel like maybe VP needs some save. Like I would call OD, which is not bad against heroes like Omni and Void, but at the same time OD being pretty weak hero lately.
Yeah. They
and
banned
it's banned.
it out, yeah, the last ban.
And they banned it out.
Noon, one of the few mids who still does play it from time to time.
Yeah, the Axe build that some people go can really save this game, you know?
VK, which is pretty good against Void. Double life.
Yep. This was one of the classic counters to Void. If you go back a few years ago, we saw Wraith King often come out just because you don't want to chrono him when he's got reincarnation.
Yeah, against a lot of these like Enigmas and Tidehunters and Chrono, these big ults you want to kill their carry with. You can't kill a Wraith King. You kill him once, you don't have a spell, he turns the fight.
And you can even go that, you're playing against Leshrac, a lot of this uncontrollable damage. The Blade Mail build feels really good after your Radiance, so it is a hero that can cause a lot of problems.
Yep.
Well, final thoughts, Senny? How do you think about this draft?
I think RNG got this late game actually. I really like those heroes. If the game goes D-late.
Okay, well, we're going to hear from Arzik, the Virtus.pro coach, before we hop ourselves into the game.
Arzik, I'm going to ask you about how you feel about this draft in a moment, but first, were you as surprised as some of the panelists and crowd were at how Game 1 went after you had a pretty good draft?
Yeah, we outdrafted them in the first game, but we managed to lose somehow. Now we tried to lose the draft, so we might win the game, right?
Changing tactics?
Yeah.
When you do have a game that turns out that way, do you usually choose to refocus your play, or do you take it all the way back and say, we gotta try this all over again?
Yeah, we just forget about this game. Like, we shouldn't think about it at all and focus on the next game. That's it.
Do you feel pretty confident about this draft?
Yeah, of course. I'm always confident.
And the rest of it is up to your players.
Yeah, let's see how it works.
Thank you so much. Best of luck.
No problem.
Thank you. Back to you.
Why does Virtus.pro always fail when it comes to TI? Why do they always choke when it comes to the finals of the season? A harsh question, but one that was asked in the video series of Virtus.pro and one they've been asking themselves for the last 2 years. Why do they always come up short at the International? And they may just come up short here in this series against RNG, down 1 game already.
TI is so brutal. Like, it's so unforgiving. It doesn't care that you did good in the rest of the year. It doesn't care that you were owning, that you won majors. You come to this tournament and you're gonna get beat down. Remember when they kicked Lil? They got 5th-6 with Lil, and they're like, well, it's not a good enough result. We're VP. They kick him, they pick up Roger, the superstar. It feels like they immediately go on a roll. They win their first event after, they win an ESL. It looks like everything is going so well for them. Then they just get hammered. They get handled, they get 8th, or they get 6th, then they get 6th again. And it just feels like the results aren't really improving. They're not really building something at this point. And that wears on you. This is, I feel like, a life or death series for them. Not just for their TI run, but as a group.
As a team, absolutely.
If you
Virtus.pro, as a roster, cannot survive a 9th through 12th place.
Yes, I will confidently say that if this team, they were built for a top 3 finish. If they don't get it this time around, that could just be the end for them. And RNG on the other side of things, I mean, we saw in their video interview yesterday, it was like, if we get top 6, we'd be pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
And now look at them. They're 1 game away from knocking out VP. And that's part of it too. I think the expectations, the composure that a team can potentially have, those are the things that matter when it comes to TI. Everybody's great strategically. Everyone's good individually. It really just comes down to, can you put it all together?
We start off our game here, Virtus.pro. Roger's gonna start things off, taking one hell of a lot of Shadow Poison charges. We've got a Wraith King Warlock versus an Omni Knight Elder Titan. A mid matchup of No One's Gyrocopter versus Setsu's Leshrac. They're gonna give Setsu Leshrac, which is pretty incredible as this hero has really been shining at the playoffs.
Yes, I think that's, especially with the way that Sumail's been making it look, it has so many good things going for it. You don't really lose very many lanes. Like, you feel quite good against most lanes. It sets up for kills easily. It pairs with one of the most important / versatile 5 positions in the game, Shadow Demon. Like, there's so many different ways to utilize Shadow Demon around your Leshrac is one of those heroes where you want to burst as soon as possible because of his toolkit, the way that Pulse Nova and Edict works. If he's disrupted, it'll continue to go up. And you can use it to set up for a stun. Like, there's so many different ways that these heroes pair together.
The tiny Centaur lane against a Faceless Void Shadow Demon. Roger's been trying to get real aggressive, interrupting Afu's pulling. Is this a matchup? It looks like Virtus.pro, they're just going to have to dominate the laning phase in that first 20 minutes of the game, right?
I sort of think so, but I think what the real crux of the lineup is, they want to just run at you.
Yeah.
They have 5 really good heroes that are running at you. They're just going to face check team fights. What I really like about the Warlock Wraith King interaction is that the way that Wraith King works as a hero is once you go on him once, you don't have to just drop your rock reflexively.
Oh, Setsu, that's going to be a first blood for no one. Unexpected in this mid matchup. That
Did he just get soloed?
Yes, he did. Completely solo, completely 1v1, and Roger, with the Invis rune that he stole away from Apu earlier, does manage to find the kill on the opposing support.
Surprise! As he was headed towards mid lane, but that was sort of rendered pointless since no one just killed him.
Good start for Virtus Pro here. It's 2-0, but they're going to need a lot more, as you said. They're going to need to run at you. They're going to need to be able to find strong initiations, especially against this lineup of Void plus Leshrac. That's a deadly teamfight duo. Virtus Pro, Rams is going to be pushed back here, so instead they're going to get a lot of damage on a solo. As he goes for the body block.
Did that throw you off for a second?
What?
Nothing.
Sitting in position.
Is this a
ready
free
to
Omni
go for the
lane?
toss back. Look at Roger. He wants to be able to get another kill on Setsu, and it looks like he might just be able to get it with the avalanche. The toss back into the jar cover. No one runs into the tier 1 tower range, and that rocket barrage will just eat Setsu up.
This is such a good start for no one. Goes without saying, but 2 kills, 14 CS. This is the kind of hero where I feel like Gyrocopter, if the laning phase goes well with that, you're really happy. Since you're prioritizing going for your rocket barrage and your homing missile over just like pure power leveling flat cannon.
Certainly going to offer a lot more kill power when it comes to some of these team fights. Roger now trying to be that roaming Tiny, and we've seen a lot of success of that in the group stage. We got to cast several Infamous games where it was very good.
It's very good for ganking the mid lane, but I think part of the problem is what Infamous were able to do around that hero was protect their safe lane.
Yeah.
You had Schofield rotate towards the top lane, get kills, and just flip between mid and top. In a game like this, I don't actually think that can kill Omni, which is why I said, is this a free Omni game? Because I don't think he really cares about Warlock as a 5 position, and I don't even think he cares about Wraith King as a carry.
Oh, I think so too, especially with the Heavenly Grace. Roger managed to find a haste route with the missile in flight. Is going to be able to get a chain stun on a Setsu, but with multiple rotations from RNG, Virtus Pro in discipline will back up, and it looks like they're going to try and secure the bounty runes at the right side of the map. This is going to leave Flyby alone, but as you said, because it's kind of a free Omni game at level 4, he does not care about a 1v2 at all.
Yeah, he's really happy about this, in fact. He's getting solo XP for it. But Lanem is going to make his way back up to top. Bounty Rune's about to spawn. Ramses is going to snag that real quick.
That'll be 3 for Virtus Pro, thanks to the quick thinking of Ramses. Still, though, top CS occupied by both the Omni Knight as well as the Faceless Void, Flyby, and Monet. Flyby has certainly been doing his fair share of carrying, of course, Monet being the superstar of RNG.
So normally when Infamous takes this sort of lineup, they'll make the same rotation, but they'll have a 5 position that can pressure in the safe lane. So when Schofield does make his inevitable gank up towards top, the Tiny's able to do something.
Yeah.
In this game, because he can't make his way towards top, RNG can just sit one of their supports mid because they know that's the only lane that he can afford to play in. You're not going to kill a Void with this hero either. So you're stuck into a position where this is the stun. The crowd reacts. They voice their disapproval.
Oh, look at Roger. He's thinking, oh, Setsu, you want to come at me? I'll toss you into no one. Then you'll see.
That was pretty rough.
Yeah.
He probably should have had that.
That was a totally free kill. RNG had kind of set up a trap between their 2 supports, Afu and Lanem.
But when you can't gank any of the side lanes and you don't have these pressure heroes, it makes it really easy for the enemy 5 to just sit behind mid and not really lose out on too much because you know where the Tiny is.
Oh, Monet, bash after bash. The RNG is in his favor. And with the stomp to be able to finish him off, Lanem claims kill Pasha.
Let me say conversely, Cap, it's really easy for RNG to set up kills with the heroes that they have in any lane, but Roger running at Afu for the time being.
Sad part is, again, he can get behind that Omni Knight as many times as he wants to, but tossing him into Wraith King and Warlock, that's going to be a hard kill. As you can see, Flyby with the Heavenly Grace able to purge off some of the damage from Grade 5 Blast and the Shadow Word, Fatal Bonds. It's just a perfect lane for Omni Knight to be in.
So you said that you thought the laning phase was going to be or that VP needed a really good laning phase, but RNG's laning phase is going to be fine. Despite the 3-1 kill lead, RNG is only down by a K.
And that's definitely concerning for Virtus Pro. We heard their coach, Zeke. Nice disruption into the split earth. This time, there will be no mistakes. Roger will die.
You could hear frustration in Zeke's voice when she was like, last game you had a good draft and you still lost. And he was like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, win draft, lose games, so let's take the opposite approach in this one. Let's lose the draft and see what happens. Do you agree with that? Do you actually agree with the sentiment that they lost the draft a bit?
Is that what the draft panel thought?
I actually don't know.
I could see how they win this game. Faceless Void isn't fantastic against Wraith King.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a pretty good run at you lineup. Just there's a lot of counter initiation, which is usually the way you play around that. Like they have Omni Knight and ET and Shadow Demon. Like I think I like their supports better on the side of RNG personally.
They're certainly going to look good with a Faceless Void, whether it's the saving mechanism of the disruption or all the damage that they can lay into a Chronosphere. 6 energy there. They scale well into the late game. Virtus Pro, especially with the laning phase going the way it is, they're going to need to hit that really strong mid-game timing. They do have relatively low cooldowns, so they're just going to have to hit back to back to back, even sometimes without the golem being available to them. I think they're just going to have to keep fighting through it. No one just goes ahead and gives up that mid lane to Roger for him to get a little bit of experience. He is quite low level. We see this from this 4 position. Tiny rotates around non-stop. He's going to be a good boy and actually stack for his cores here. Stacks both the camps quite nicely and returns to mid lane to start getting some levels. Maybe not. No one's just being greedy. He's taking all of the smoke right now. In a relatively quiet laning phase right now, in part because we just don't really have
gank
the heroes to be able to run around and gank. The side lanes are just a bit too strong. Even that Centaur versus the Faceless Void matchup, it needs a bit of luck on RNG's side to be able to claim the kill like that.
I think this game, at least till the mid game, will be a farm fest.
Yeah.
Until you get levels on the side of VP, and that's why no one, he's had a lot of camp stack for him. He's just going to clear these in the jungle, no problem.
And maybe with these kind of stacks, they're going to artificially raise up this Gyrocopter's timing, and he can maybe surprise RNG. I mean, we've seen Gyrocopter, I was quite surprised, being very successful hero without being paired with the IO bottom lane. They do manage to kill Pasha. Setsu makes the rotation over to secure the bounty runes. They are going to try and get the top lane, but Flyby actually managed to snag that bounty rune. Now the TPs are going to come in to make sure he's okay. They cancel the TP. One last heal before he goes, but Flyby, surrounded by 4 heroes, just will not make it out alive. The last Great Fire Blast secures it, as Solo is the one to get the last hit between the last word and that little bit of damage off the neutrals as well, thanks to the Fatal Bond.
It looked like they were backing up after they saw the TP. But once the TP got canceled, wasn't able to come in, Monet.
Well, Chronosphere has been used. Is this an opportunity? Can Virtus Pro make a play towards that bottom lane? Or are we just back to the farming game?
I think we're just sort of back to the farming game. This is what happens when you can't really pressure through like simple ganks.
Yeah.
So what we'll instead see is probably just explosive team fights. The way that both lineups work, it's going to be, can you hold against the tide? When Virtus Pro just gather up as 5, they Centaur ult, Warlock drop onto you. Can RNG counter initiate, get enough heals off?
Look at this. Both teams are looking to make the same maneuver here. A smoke up of the mid laner off of a support and rotate into the enemy safe lane. Virtus Pro is going to do it first.
Look at the timing of this. And they're going to run into Ramses, who got stunned up by the Centaur, but he's by the shrine. They need to hurry up and TP. Roger already starts it, but...
He has a reincarnation. No one. What a fast rotation from him. Instantly TPs into the mid lane. Is going to be able to catch at least one. And look at Ramses go. He's going to be able to get the stun onto Setsu with Roger with a follow-up as well. They're going to lay into that Leshrac and pick up the double kill for no one. As you said, things are going to start in a hurry. It's going to be explosive team fights, and with RNG having their smoke run into a Wraith King, disaster occurs.
RNG have the most like bend don't break lineup I've ever seen. what's going to happen is they're going to get run at, and they have to just be able to hold off of spell usage. They've got great heroes at counter-initiating though, Cap. They've got Chronos here, they have Shadow Demon Disruption, they have Heavenly Grace. They're able to reset fights really nicely. But if VP can just get on top of them and pick off heroes individually one by one, that's where their lineup is going to be very strong once they start with the numbers advantage.
Pasha trying to chip away at that bottom tower, activates his Retaliate stacks, but doesn't really commit to the towers. A little bit skittish just because there's so many heroes of RNG off map right now, but it looks like with the rotation of Roger and no one, they should be able to find. They're not sure exactly where he went to. It's a really good rotation through the trees, but still Afu will eventually be found and killed. We haven't mentioned it, but Fatal Bonds plus Black Cannon, that's got to be a sick combo.
But their mid tower's being pressured. They have to defend this. So they're going to bring back no one. They know that bottom tower is ready for Flybys here too. They wanted to bring their strongest hero in. Monet going to get run into by Ramses. Just going to throw out the stun. No one's going to defend this tower. And as long as they can keep this mid tower alive, VP can continue to get aggressive around the map. And in fact, I think they should think about taking mid tower themselves at some point. The downside is their carry is going to go for that Radiance, but I don't even mind Ramses just coming in at this point. Secure the tower with your ulti.
Yeah. Especially, is he level 12 yet? No, he's still only level 10. Maybe he just doesn't want to have to use that really lengthy reincarnation cooldown. It's Roger. He's going to try and get that toss on a flyby, but maybe the Omni Knight is not the best target.
Ramsey's going to TP out to the other side of the map, understanding that he's pressing his luck a little bit too much, and his timing couldn't have been more perfect. RNG, because they've taken the top tower, they know if he is farming that jungle area, the shrine won't be near enough, and they could probably pop 2 lives.
Yep.
But Ramsey's read that really nicely, was able to understand that they were probably making their way for him.
And even though these carries both went for the Hand of Midas and their timing is going to be similar in that regard, the Wraith King does have that option of always just being able to summon the skeletons and TP to the other side of the map, knowing that the skeletons will push in the waves and force rotations.
Oh, look at this. They've read them perfectly. They're drawing the lines. They know they're up there.
Yep. And they're just going to play on this right-hand side behind the mid-tower. They still want to be able to protect it, but at the same time, if they don't engage into RNG, the Diabolic Edict will finish off this mid-tower, and Roger trying to brave that distance, but now maybe caught by RNG. Monet doesn't want to use the Chronosphere for just a tiny. He's going to get bonked on the head, but that's what Flyby is there for. With Heavenly Grace, and ready to go with the heals. Now Roger's going to be slowed down. They do have good ultimate coming out from no one. They turn around with the Avalanche as well, but can they do any sort of damage? These are really tanky heroes on the side of RNG.
Oh, he got caught by the Centaur.
Onto the Gyrocopter. Now they're going to be able to Chronosphere. The Chaotic Offering gets dropped with a Beta Bonds as well. Now the Flat Cannon shots raining out on RNG. All of them quite low, but do they have the catch? A nice toss onto Pasha. Will be able to get the stun onto Leshrac to finish off, and now the Rocket Barrage running down Flyby. Missile nails him, and there's just nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide. He's going to try and outpace no one, hide around these trees, away from the Rocket Barrage, just buy more and more time if possible. Drums being activated by Pasha just to make sure with the TP way, but the stomp is there. This is why Pasha continue to chase with the Gyrocopter all along.
And they got split up way too much in that engagement. Tried to do a little bit too much. Once the Omni Knight went onto the high ground, that fight was completely done. They weren't able to hold.
And they really funneled, with that deep Chronosphere, they funneled into that that part of the mid lane where just a beautiful Fatal Bond to Chaotic Offering was just going to cause so much chaos and damage, no matter what the Omni Knight's heals could do for you.
So there's one incorrect thing that RNG is doing is they're running at heroes after the fact.
Okay.
Like making your way towards that top lane, I think is such a big mistake because you know that Ramses isn't going to continue that push. The better move to make at that point is to go towards the triangle, because in Dota, you don't want to just run at dots. You want to try to anticipate where the next move is.
Okay.
If you're going for the previous play, you go towards that top lane, you're just wasting your time. There's no carry that's crazy enough without his tier 1 tower to push past where your previous tower point used to be.
Right.
So what you have to do then is anticipate the next maneuver. You have to go where the creep wave is going to be, send your Leshrac up there to farm that wave up, push it in, 3 heroes go to gank, they feel safe, you get the kill on the Wraith King in that way.
RNG trying to do a better job of hunting down these Virtus Pro heroes.
Yeah, that's why Ramses was able to sniff out the gank at bottom too.
Yeah.
They came down for him, but there will be a certain point where Ramses will just retreat into the jungle, and you have to learn how to anticipate that. When you push out the top lane and you don't go for the tower, you can assume that somebody from VP will then TP up there, push out the lane themselves. If it's a carry, he'll get it to a certain point, then move to another part of the map. And that's what the real difficulty of Dota is, trying to understand where that next move is going to be.
And because of that failure, we're going to see a Radiance picked up by Ramses fairly soon here without dying once. But this is very well covered up by the fact that Monet has kept his farm up very high and actually has a hand of Midas into a Maelstrom. He's not that far behind. The Gyrocopter is actually ahead of the Wraith King, especially with the tower being taken now by RNG at the top tier 2. That net worth gets boosted up even further.
But the gold lead, relatively even. Monet gonna sense things. As Roger smoked up, he's been using a lot of individual smokes to get things started. And because VP is taking this tower a little bit later, they're gonna get pressured in other lanes. But because they're so well set up, it's impossible for RNG to defend this tower. They don't know where the vision is. They don't have vision themselves down there. I mean, they'd be walking in blind if you're wondering why they're not just going for it.
Yeah, especially with now they've seen a BKB picked up by no one, just delivered. Ramsey's going to be the first one on the scene defending this mid-tier 2. It's because he's got that reincarnation in hand.
Yeah, in 5-on-5 situations, you're only going to defend that area if you have vision pre-set up.
Yeah.
It's like the #1 thing that I see a lot of pubs make a mistake around. It's they want to defend or take fights where they don't have vision. Then you're just coin flipping for yourself. You're hoping that the enemy team also doesn't have vision and that you can just out team fight them.
Yeah.
But what you want to do in pro games is eliminate that random chance. Don't just leave it up to, well, hopefully we click buttons a little bit better. You want to make things as easy for yourself as possible.
Lots of deep vision down from Virtus Pro. As we saw, RNG already had one idea of where a ward was going to be, and Afu still does not spot it.
Did they not see it?
They had that sentry down before the ward was placed, but
I don't actually
time
think they
after
see it,
time,
Cap.
they've just walked past it.
It's in such a weird position where I actually think it's just outside the vision at bottom
lane.
lane.
Able to run down Setsu, TP out after the Eul's Scepter, but the Stomp is still there. If he had been a little bit faster on the Eul's TP, maybe they could have done it. I'm not sure how long the animation of the Stomp.
And that's actually the classic case of they anticipated him to be down there.
Yeah. They actually read where Setsu was going to be pushing out the lane. Virtus Pro, as soon as he kind of pokes his head out, they immediately cut it off. And now they're going to be well set up to establish dominant map control as the 20-minute bounty runes coming up. And Virtus Pro leading the charge. Ramses with the Radiance, now level 15 as well, with the 15 strength talent that so many Wraith Kings have been taking. This is a really big power spike for him.
They know he's strong right now. They want to play behind him.
Not even bothering to mess around with the bounty runes right now. They try and get some chip damage on the tier 2, knowing that RNG aren't really in position to claim those bounty runes on the right side of the map.
At this point, the Wraith King is better than the Faceless Void, because the Chrono doesn't hard counter you. In fact, you want to be countered. You want to be chronoed if you're Ramses. He's going to ignore it. You chrono him, he pops a second life. By the time he's alive, he can run at you, and that big teamfight ulti's on CD. So Setsu's going to push out top lane. Somebody from VP should respond to this. I don't think they should just blind push down this mid lane. I actually feel like then Setsu will get damage on this tier 3 tower, and you always have to worry about that.
Especially with the Boots of Travel. Setsu has a great build to be able to pop out, get damage on the tier 3 while still joining his team in defending towers. Siege Wagon leading the way. He's going to open up the tree path that he built for himself and pop out. As soon as it closes in on the tier 3, Virtus Pro will take the tier 2 mid tower though.
Yeah, and now they're going to push out this top lane. And partially because Setsu was so worried that one hero would TP back, he has been punished for it.
Yeah. Shrine rotation. Mass TP's coming in. They know where no one is. As soon as they saw the Wraith King up at the top lane, they say he's the strongest hero right now. If he's not here, we can win a fight against VP, but no one is still super tanky with that BKB. Slowed down by the Purge as BKB eventually wears out. Setsu going for the split. Nice stop. Landed on Gyrocopter. What a stop from Pasha though. Gyro, as well as Pasha and Roger just combo together to get a lot of damage, but Gyro still finished off by Monet, who managed to blink in and finish him off. Now, going back to the Shrine, Pasha looks to be able to catch these heroes in flyby, and Monet, the toss forward into the Stomp. No, time walk away from Monet. Does manage to get him away. Nice stop from Lana. At least hits the Centaur flyby, who's super tanky right now. Monet is actually going to go and try and execute solo, but instead going to be caught by the toss. Saved now by flyby. And now the BKB activated solo. The stomp in. They're trying to finish off this Omni Knight. The physical damage isn't quite good enough. He does manage to get off the heavenly
Flyby's
race.
still alive.
Finish off that support, and Monet is now going to turn onto Pasha as well with a soul catcher, bringing this tanky Centaur low. He's trying to find his way out of here, but Roger, a beautiful initiation to stop the force finish up. Somebody die, and they do manage to get him. On follow-up stun onto Monet, but he time walks it off, and Pasha is so low. One swing from Afu, another one. They need a little bit more, and finally he does go down. Roger with the Yule Scepter into the Split Earth is dead as well, and Ramses, you don't have the backup anymore, so he's going to start retreating.
It took them so long to kill Flyby.
It took forever. This Omni Knight, you said it's a free Omni Knight game. He got so much farm, and it shows here in these team fights. His Virtus Pro struggled to be able to bring him down, and round after round of Guardian Angel, Heavenly Grace, so many heals being thrown around, just allowed RNG to persevere through the burst.
It was like a 2-on-4 fight. It lasted so long that the Leshrac was able to respawn, come back in, had a free time, just sort of walk through VP at that point. And it all comes down to the fact that Flyby lasted for forever. I actually thought he was going to live for a second. That was a really nice Force Staff by the Elder Titan. If he's able to pop his heal there, I mean, he's going to reset.
And it all starts with Virtus Pro just getting a little undisciplined, right? They show Ramses up there in the top lane, but get caught on top of the shrine. RNG made the read that there was an error in Virtus Pro's moves.
And that's part of when you push out that top lane blind like that. That's why I wanted somebody to push in that lane before they went for the mid push.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes progressively harder. If you're going to go defend that top tower, you have to make sure that everyone gets out.
Roger in range of the Yule Scepter.
Back-to-back
now
deaths.
He'll die. I don't know if he thought it was going to be a free defense at that tier 1 tower, but all of RNG is here. While the rest of Virtus Pro, they're going to try and push the other side of the map.
And they're going to take pressure, though, in this bottom tower.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't even know if that top tower is free. If you think about it, it's so close to the shrine. They don't have any vision up there. It's healthy enough that RNG will defend it.
Ramses.
And that's why they go back. They make the smart call. They allow Ramses to just defend. RNG want to avoid this hero right now.
Yeah.
Don't run into the Wraith King.
We saw that from the last engagement. As soon as the Wraith King shows up on one side of the map, they move to the other. They're just trying to avoid fights with the Wraith King while he's still so strong. He has the top CF, top net worth right now.
And if you're curious as to why VP didn't just go for the trade right there, it's because they didn't have vision right here. Plus, they know they're weaker.
Yeah.
If the shrine is up for whatever reason, they have vision on top of this hill, or they see you coming, VP is going to get wiped again.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason RNG was willing to take that trade. They had the vision on the high ground that allows them to pressure the tier 2, but read Virtus Pro's movements in their defense.
Yeah,
so they
more
can
vision,
back up.
And just being stronger as a 5-man unit and being set up is so important. But Lon M might get run into here. Ramsey's going to jump forward, runs into Afu, who gets force staffed. Does have the ulti and the disruption. Going to try to reset himself.
Roger's trying to finish up Afu, but Setsu coming in. They do have the Guardian's Angel out from the Omni Knight. This is going to slow down a lot of damage of VP. They're going to throw out the Stampede. Yule Scepter chasing down Ramses, lives on a sliver of health. He still has a reincarnation, but they're going to go for the Omni Knight. Do manage to get him with the stomp, and now into the Chronosphere. He doesn't get a chance to be able to pop his BKB until the very end, but he's low enough that maybe he can't fight. Monet, he's going to pop a BKB of his own, and there goes the reincarnation of Ramses. Flyby, quite slow, hit by the stomp, and there is the stomp in return. Out from the Elder Titan, and now with the big percentage-based damage, maybe Pasha is actually going to fall here. It looks like too much damage. The Centaur gets overwhelmed, and Ramses tries to turn around, gets this crit onto Monet, but it's not enough to finish him off, and now they just kite around the Wraith King and still finish him off. 3 dead on the side of Virtus Pro with no buybacks. Captain Solo on the retreat, but got to be found as a force staff from Monet, and a time walk will surely end his life. Big time kills. Look at Setsu, actually. He's looking to be able to run down no one. He's caught up to him. All that mobility into his favor. No one living with just a sliver of health. Roger to be able to intercept with the Avalanche as well. They won't get wiped entirely, but RNG in a beautiful
Who's gonna find him here?
Afu managed to find him. Oh, the meanwhile, there's that top push at the top lane. No one is going to be able to burst down his own illusions, trying to deal with Afu right now, but that tier 3 at top is taking so much damage. Afu made all that space in the world. Gyrocopter will live through the poison, stacked up, while RNG take a tier 3. Shrines are now unlocked.
This reminds me of last game where they just all in for the supports, and Afu's positioning is so good, Cap, that it takes them way too long to be able to kill him. They have to hard commit for the fight. It makes it really easy for the Void to line up for the Chrono and the Stomp from the ET. Lineups positioning is also very good. He's able to extend the fight with the Force Staff onto a Shadow Demon, and you see why that hero is so highly valued. It's just so tough to bring down. He's gonna get his toolkit off, disrupts himself. The VP have to be better at starting these engagements, because right now they're just filtering in, they're taking too long. You see they hard commit to Afu.
Afu so many times.
Look at this, they're still just all going from, they're ignoring the back line. And because they have to hard commit for this fight, they're just in such bad positions.
No one not popping his BKB and getting stomped by the Elder Titan like that allows them to be able to get the Chronosphere. Even if they don't kill no one in that instance, he's low enough. He can't really commit to these fights. Look at him just playing on the outside lines. And that means when Pasha gets turned around on, no one can't confidently turn and fight with him.
It's either you pop the SD immediately or, what's the point?
Yeah.
As you see, they're giving up positioning as a result of it. Ramses is just laughing because it's getting kind of ridiculous that they're not able to win these engagements.
It's getting kind of ridiculous how often Virtus Pro choking against these other teams here at the International, on the precipice here of completing a 9th through 12th placing at TI, where their 2 previous ended in the 5th, 6th spot, and that was considered a disappointment. I have no idea how Virtus Pro was going to read a bottom placing like this. They're going to have to craft a way to be able to combat RNG, an RNG that is stronger than ever. Now that they've managed to pick up the Aegis, they're looking at an MKB, Monet, anticipating the build that's coming out from the Gyrocopter in that Butterfly. Their timing is going to be almost exact. That Butterfly has just been hard countered.
And Monet now, he feels like he can go wherever he wants. He's pushing up this top lane real confidently. They're going to take the Shrine here, establish vision, start to choke VP out on the map. VP's lineup is still really scary to push up against because they have Ramses who can just frontline for them. They have the counter initiation of the Warlock Rock. The better thing to do with this Aegis rather than just going blind high ground, I think, is just get map control.
Right. Especially with Ramses, who's about to get a BKB. But boy, this Omni Knight has just been a pain in the ass for Virtus Pro, man.
Yeah, Flyby, twice in a row, he's played a very similar style.
Yeah.
Just counter initiate. He understands the sort of aggression that VP likes to run. Play one of these heroes. Abandon Omni Knight, reset fights, make it difficult for VP to just do the VP thing. In a team fight, get one hero out of the way, move on to the next. Cut them out at the knees.
The last time these two teams matched up against each other was in the group stage. That went 1-1. With the first game going to Virtus Pro with that big team fight lineup, very similar to what they drafted in game 1 of this series. But last time they managed to pull out the W. Here, Virtus Pro may just get 2-0'd by RNG. Monet, look at how big he is. He's got the MKB on its way and is thinking about Satanic.
I sort of think I don't know. The initiation, of course, is going to matter more, but so is the vision game. They need to be able to find the Shadow Demon immediately.
The combination of Aegis, BKB, and Heavenly Grace allows this Void to play on the front lines like most Voids are not able to do.
And Ramsey is going to TP in. They want to take this fight around their Shrine area. Plus, they have the high ground. You can't just allow all of your map to get filtered out. They're going to run into each other 5-on-5.
Disruption, Soul Catcher. Ramsey's already quite low. Almost getting burned out immediately. Pasha's going to try and get the chain stun, but there's that Heavenly Grace. Now Pasha going to be slowed down. Goes for the Stampede, but immediately the Eul Scepter from Setsu. Holds him in place. That's Pasha dead. And no buyback either. Monet not even have to blow the Chronosphere, is going to look for another one with that time walk, marching towards the tier 4s, but the initiation coming out from Ramsey with the Avalanche over the top, the Chaotic offering as well. They get the Fatal Blunts on top of that, but the time walk allows Monet to stand strong. He's got the Chronosphere on top of the Gyrocopter as well, half health, but no one laying out the Black Cannon damage. Is it going to be enough? No, he gets first down.
They're so tanky.
Finish off RNG, taking through everything. 3 dead on the side of Virtus Pro. No buyback for Roger as well. He dies, immediately buys back. Him and Ramses are going to have to watch Elena Barracks being pummeled down by RNG.
No one does have the buyback, but they're still not very strong right now, Cap. 10 seconds left on this Wraith King ultimate. Doesn't have BKB. There's still an Aegis on this Void. It's going to last for long enough for them to claim a set of racks. Looking towards mid, but there's still a tier 2 tower. They could just swing up towards top. And the initiation.
Ramsey's trying to go on the left rack immediately, trying to deal with the damage dealer. He does have his reincarnation up. Monet is going to take that away from him nice and fast. They do manage to get the toss up in the air onto Setsu. Ramsey's really wanted to be able to lock down that left rack, but can't actually get him. And he may just fall here. It's Monet challenging with bash after bash. Gets another one. Gets the Beyond Godlike to be able to finish up Ramsey. Gets Roger as well. He loses the Aegis, but he's got a second life. No one can finish up Setsu is all. Is that it? Are we seeing the last of Virtus Pro at the International?
They just can't kill anybody.
The last of this roster.
They can't kill anyone, Cap. They hard commit. It must be so demoralizing watching Flyby run out.
Virtus Pro call it. The curse strikes again, and RNG make it through the best of one. They take down the CAS powerhouse of Virtus Pro, and the home crowd is on their feet. The Chinese underdog team of RNG barely makes it through the qualifiers, barely makes it out of group, barely makes it through best of ones, now dominate Virtus Pro in a swift 2-0.
And the Kings of CIS in a stunner. This is what I feel like is our first really big upset. We're going to see VP go home at 12.
The International is a brutal tournament. As you said, TI, it does not care that you were second place in the DPC points. It does not care that you were a top 8 team 2 years previously. It does not care that you are the favorite against RNG. What it cares about is just those wins that RNG were able to pull out through their aggression, through their strategy. They just had it all planned out, and Virtus Pro didn't have an answer.
And they try to go for a type of lineup where they could just run at RNG. RNG read that completely. They said, we can counter-initiate. The disruption save every single time on the SD. The fact that they could never burst down Flyby made it nigh impossible for them to ever take team fights.
You could see the relief on the young squad's face. Happy to be able to represent China here, led by veteran Lanham, which is an incredible story on his own. Being able to, at 30 years old, lead this young squad forward. They get the 2-0 against Virtus Pro, and now off to Shiver.
Thank you very much, Blitzcap. That was a 2-0. Virtus Pro was once again eliminated before their time, or at least that's what their fans will say. That's what everybody will say that looked at the paper before going into TI. RNG did it, and we have a new member on the panel as well. First TI panel, Lex.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. Well, you know, they say everyone thinks VP wasn't going to do well. I wouldn't say everyone, Shiver. It's happened a few times. But
sure.
Sad for those boys to be headed out there. I think a lot of fans will be disappointed. I mean, what a fantastic DPC. And then they go out against Royal Never Give Up. Royal Never Give Up. I've never even heard of that team before yesterday. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
mostly.
It doesn't matter how many majors you played, how good you did in the DPC. Once you get to the TI, nothing else matters. You just want to perform good here, and this is all it takes. You take one BO1, you take 2 good games, and suddenly you're in a really good spot.
It felt like they've gone through this whole motion now on Virtus Pro, where everyone's like, man, Virtus Pro looks so weird in the group stage. They're playing this really farm-heavy game. It's like, what happened to all Virtus Pro? Whereas, as they said in their interview, drink vodka, play Dotka. You know, they got away from that, right?
Well,
They're just going for
maybe
this
they
farm
just
fest. And maybe that's what they needed here, because it looked like they went too aggro and RNG played them.
Yeah, RNG is on form. And now we all heard the rumors before going in. It's like, well, RNG's been doing really good in these scrims, you know? Nobody really knew what they were going to do coming in because the results this year haven't been amazing, but this, yeah, it's all about peaking at the right time. And they are peaking at the right time. And of course, Monet also, carry of the squad, peaking at the right time. And he is with Casey right now.
Yes, we're here with Monet, and Helen is going to help us translate. Congratulations, Monet. That was an incredible 2 games. How did it feel to be able to play on the TI stage in front of a Chinese crowd?
首先恭喜获得2场比赛的胜利。首先想问一下，在 TI 的舞台上，在中国打是个什么样的一个感觉？
能感受到现场观众们真的非常的热情，就是很能被现场观众们带动气氛吧，非常的激动。
I can feel the crowd cheering, and it makes me super, super excited.
You can tell that they really are connecting with you. You were at TI 7. You had to watch from the sidelines of TI 8. How difficult is it to do that when this is the pinnacle of everything that you want to play at?
TI 7你参加了，但是 TI 8你是只能旁观，就是在这个最顶尖的舞台上，你有什么感觉吗？
感觉就是和强队们交手，真的很不一样吧。而且怎么说呢，感觉就是很激动，真的很激动。
It feels really different competing against the strongest teams in the world, and it's just super exciting for me. It's hard to say.
You just beat VP, one of the strongest teams on the planet. That has to feel, I know that you have an enormous amount of respect for them as a team, and to be able to do it here must be really special.
你刚刚把 VP 给击败了，也可以说是世界上最顶尖的队伍之一，就很佩服你。估计也对VP 有很大的尊敬，就是能说一下吗
？VP 真的是一个很强的队伍吧，一支特别厉害的队伍，而且我很喜欢他们的 carry。
VP is probably one of the strongest teams. I have a lot of respect for them, and I really like the carry player, Ramses.
Oh, I love it. See, everybody's like family. You're looking ahead. Are you able to take it one game at a time, or have you allowed yourself to picture what it would be like to lift the Aegis?
一步一脚印吧，就能看清楚你下一场比赛呢，还是你有想过就是举起冠军盾是什么样一个感觉吗？
想不到自己去冠军队是什么样子，但我们就是这个队伍就是一步一步走吧，能走到哪里是哪里。就目前来说，我们是没有夺得冠军那个实力的。
It's hard to imagine the ages right now for my team. We'll just take it step by step and not rush anything.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Shishi, back to you.
Taking it step by step definitely seems to be the right way of going about this, for sure. And even for Setsu and Flyby, this is their first international, you know? Just enjoy the moment, and it seems like they really are doing that, Trent.
I mean, yeah, it's that idea maybe of like less pressure on you, right? You're coming in. Some people maybe are going to crumble at that because they're like, wow, it's TI for the first time ever. I can't believe it. And the nerves maybe getting to them. But there's that other group of people who maybe just also aren't, they almost can't appreciate the pressure in that effort. You know, it's kind of like, I'm just playing some Dota. If you got a veteran presence on your team like Lana, maybe he can convince them of that at the very least to be like, look, man, just relax, do what we've been doing.
They were confident. I mean, as you mentioned, 2 of those players never played at TI, and confident underdogs. I mentioned that term a couple of times already, and this is how you win games, one step at a time.
One step at a time, and unfortunately the steps are done for Virtus Pro, and Rich right now is with no one.
Yeah, anybody who has been watching Dota for a long time is going to have respect not only for this man, but his entire team. Could even hear in the interview with your opponents that they were saying they have a lot of respect for you. And I want to ask right now, for you guys, you have many good years. You get to TI, and it has been that roadblock. What's going through your mind right now?
Actually, nothing. I'm just disappointed. That's everything what I can say like about myself. I know about my teammates.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely understandable. I think that I would also join the community in saying we know that as players, you're definitely capable of being able to take down this tournament. When you're up there on the main stage, when you're in the elimination series, when you drop a game against a team like RNG that you know they have the potential to take the series, they're definitely the underdog in it. Does that start to pop into your mind, though, the fact that you guys haven't been able to take this tournament yet, that you haven't been able to lift up the Aegis?
I mean, like if you're about the first game after the losing first game, actually it's nothing for us. We just have some love how we lost because I mean like we had 2 games under our control and we just fucked up really hard and I don't know like made some big and huge mistakes, and here we are lost.
I do think, though, even with those mistakes, it's very obvious that you guys have proven more times than not that you're a team that can wash those games away. You can have fantastic years time and time again. When you're standing here now, are you already hungry to try to get back next year and actually finally win a TI?
I mean, like, of course, my mind is can't actually understand what happened. It's for sure. So, but of course, I'll try my best at the next years. Same for my teammates, I'm sure. I'm not sure we are gonna play as 5 here, as 5, like this roster. I'm not gonna promise that, but I think I'll come back for sure, and I'll try my best. I don't know what to say actually.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, but
It's just hard to take it. It's always hard to take it loose, and I mean, like it's like this. That's all I can say.
you can be proud of an incredible year, and I know that all the fans are still going to be supporting you. Thank you so much for talking to me right now. We're going to throw it back to the desk.
Yeah, thank you so much to Rich and Noah. And oh my God, that's actually so heartbreaking. It was such a good year for them, only to have it end like this. And then, you know, these 5 players have played together for such a long time. They have all been to 3 internationals. Now, Roger only was part of this squad for 2 of those. But the fact that just that casual sentence from no one, we might not play with these 5, Lacoste?
I've heard some stories, even a couple of majors before, that they had some of the issues, but they stick together. They've been together for 3.5 years. If you exclude Roger, when they swapped a little for the Roger, stick together. And I think this result here doesn't justify how good Dota they play. But we got to give credit to RNG. They played amazing. Some new names, some old names combined together with the fresh blood, fresh ideas, and it's paying